All right, we are live. What is going on, people? It is the evening, the fallout of the sacking of Ange Postecoglou. We are only a few hours since we have heard the news. We've had loads of opinions on our stream earlier. We've obviously seen links to Thomas Frank. We've even seen links this evening to Pochettino potentially making a return to the club. We're going to get into all of that. Joining me right now, Ben's going to be joining me in a bit, but we've got Brian Daigle, who was on the stream, who, when we broke the news, when we were live, Brian was there. I think the club knew once Brian came on stream, something had to happen. They had to get moving because you can't allow Brian to get on their case. Brian, how are we doing? How are we doing, Brian, tonight?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. The wife's gone out for a girly night dinners. I've got time to spend and chill with you guys. It's only 8 o'clock in the evening here. A day we've been thinking is coming with the management decision, whether it be pro him staying or going. We know where it is now, and now it's about moving forward and what do we do. So looking forward to having a good discussion with you and with Ben, and of course the wonderful Simon here.
Si, welcome back to the channel, a regular. Hope you're doing well. I guess, go on. How are you feeling? We haven't heard your opinion on the channel yet about what's happened today. We know that. Look, go on. Just go for it. You've heard the news. You know, you haven't been living under a rock. You know what's going on. What is your take on the situation at the moment?
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I mean, I kind of got sort of random messages throughout the day. I think, as I mentioned previously in some other areas, my emotion to these things doesn't really exist much anymore. Just more the constant agitations of, perhaps reasonings beyond, these kind of managerial decisions in the first place. But, as I've said, kind of along the season, I've always liked backed Ange. I always back a manager and the players, of course, as much as possible. Yeah, the league form was unacceptable. I don't think anyone can deny that. So I see, the conversation behind that and why the logic is there for this decision to be made today. Also see the other side, a positive first season. Within this season, some elements of strategy to the sense of maybe diminishing the league aspirations to focus on a campaign where he believed there was a team that could win it and ultimately did, and gave us, probably the biggest success in my lifetime for sure. And I'm sure for the generations before, that's the biggest win since, the 70s, 80s, etc. So there's mixed emotions, I think, in that sense of, is it the right decision, the wrong decision? One thing that always plays on my mind, to be honest, guys, is this concept of the statements that keep coming out after. Well, first of all, when managers are hired, it's the same spewing statements that come out, and also the same statements that come out when a manager's been sacked about, thanking the managers for their time and efforts. But then here's a foundation we can build upon. I keep hearing this narrative of the foundation every 18 months, 2 years. So I'm kind of at a loss in my mind further. As I said, even since the Jose era, my thought process of, how Tottenham operate is absolutely crazy. But now even more so, to the point where, what do we want? And as I've said as well in other places today, what is the point in Tottenham Hotspur? Like, I just generally don't understand the ultimate concept of what we're about, our identity. What do we actually want to do here? Yes, we want to, perform on all fronts. We want to have high league positions. We want to win things, but that only comes if you have a, good squad depth, quality, of individual skill sets, the managerial setup that needs to put in this philosophy, which I think we were gearing towards. I think there's a lot of variables that kicked into place. And here we are again on another circus act, round and round in circles, waking up. Well, when we go to bed, we'll wake up again today with the same situation we've seen multiple times. And I'm sitting there, how many times can we see this insanity and keep going round? but yeah, it is crazy. I think maybe when a few days time we'll all take a step back when everyone's removed the emotion and gone, what's a success, what isn't. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Just purely because of the way the club is run. So on to the next one. Whoever comes in, whether it's Frank, another manager, I can see us having this same boring conversation. Not this conversation with you guys. I love having conversations with you. This boring narrative, this circle that we go in. So yeah, I don't know what to think.
How do we stop ending at this point every time? I know, look, managers are never going to last forever. There's no manager that's going to come in and indefinitely be manager of Spurs and never leave, right? It's never going to happen. But as we said in the stream earlier, Ange is the fourth highest manager in terms of tenure length under ENIC. Fourth highest. He only lasted 2 seasons, and he's the fourth highest longest. So there's clearly a problem with ENIC and them able to retain managers. I think Liverpool in that same time have had, 4 managers. I think they had Houllier, Rafa Benitez, Roy Hodgson, Brendan Rodgers, Klopp, and then Slot. That's 6 since.
Well, actually, add Roy Evans to that as well, because Roy Evans was there before Houllier.
I'm saying Houllier was in 2001, I think.
So no, it was Roy Evans and Houllier, and then Roy Evans dropped out.
I'm not counting Roy Evans. Just my point. We had in that same time where they've had 6 managers, we've had 17.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had managers who have had good league campaigns. Harry Redknapp finished 4th, got sacked, right? Conte was in 4th, got sacked. Obviously, we've had managers who have got a lot of credit behind them, but a little slip up and they're sacked, like Poch. We've had managers who have won a cup, but then had their best players stripped away, like Ramos. He lost Keane and Berbatov, and was replaced by Fraser Campbell. And then that was unforgiving. He got sacked. We've had Conte. We've had Nuno, who had 10 games. He was sacked. And now we've had a manager who has won our first European trophy in 41 years. And the players are behind him. It's very rare, by the way, you sack a manager when the players are behind him and the fans seem to be behind him. I can't remember too many situations in our history when that's happened. And now he's been sacked. So how are we ever going to get out of this cycle? How are we ever going to get to a stage where we have any sort of manager like a Klopp or whatever, where we just have some sort of stability beyond this 18 months to 2-year period? How's it ever going to happen?
I have a very, very, very easy answer. And I'm sure Simon will somewhat, if not fully, agree with me. This will continue to happen until a P45 is given to a certain person who has overseen everything, has done this time and time again, whether you've backed and liked the manager, personal preference as a fan or not, they haven't been given the opportunity or fully backed. People that, like Pochettino, for me, if anyone deserved to get a blank checkbook and go, right, you've earned the right, what do we need to get you? It was him. He's greeted with 18 months of nothing. Directors of football have come in and said the same. I honestly just, like I said, people will know, and I have been saying this, October the 26th, 2007, Martin sacking was the turning point for me. Then obviously ever since I've been on your channel, Sim, and obviously yours and Ben's went up, came on, predominantly do it. It's always the same answer. All roads lead back to that man. Now, whether people want to say, yep, he's just given us a trophy. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. But that's 1 or 2 if you want to include Ramos. You win trophies, you're sacked. You get to finals, you're sacked. You get into Champions League, you're sacked. And I just don't know. I listen, when it's come to Ange Postecoglou as well, some of the heat that he's got because of the league form, because of the style of play, whether you want to take into consideration or believe he did what he did in the league to get the Europa League or not, it doesn't matter now, he's gone. Either way you look at this, these managers are just tossed aside. They are just tossed aside, and the man that has actually delivered a trophy has now paid for it. I saw a thing with Tim Sherwood. I couldn't believe it. Tim Sherwood was just on a Sky Sports. Didn't get to see the whole thing. It was on Twitter. And they said, what's the objective at Tottenham Hotspur? And Tim Sherwood said, well, obviously not winning trophies. And you just when you think this will be the final thing I say. Every time you think, okay, this is the direction we're going on, and you can see, okay, we got told we cleared a lot of the youth or the deadwood out to give pathway to the youth. Well, no, they go all out on loan, or we don't play them unless. Every time you're like, okay, this is the direction we're going on. Let's drive along this highway. Kiboshes it, and we'll go completely the other direction. So to wrap up, how do we get away from hiring and firing managers every time the wind changes? Is give a P45 to Daniel Levy and say, piss off, go build your hotels, your offices and everything you want with non-Tottenham Hotspur money and nothing to do with Tottenham Hotspur. That's the only way this breaks.
It's just so frustrating. We always just find ourselves back here every time, especially since Pochettino left. Every time, 18 months to 2 years, we're back here at this very situation. And we're talking about another summer of change. 2 years ago, there was a whole thing about how much change. Scott Munn's coming in, Lang, the revamping this, data-driven. Levy saying in the fans forum, we've got our Tottenham back. Whole change. And here we are 2 years later, back in the same position. Same place.
Sim, never mind the summer of change then. Literally 14 days ago. Hi, everyone. Firstly, 14 days ago, 14 days ago, Daniel Levy said at that party, we need to use this as a springboard now. What sort of springboard is it to sack a manager where not every single player, but the vast majority of the squad and the vast majority of the fan base, there's finally a good feeling around the club? What sort of springboard is chucking it all in the bin? Where's the springboard? I just don't get it. What he's doing is basically we're in a situation now where there could be a player revolt within the club. And I've never seen a situation like that. I've never seen a situation where a manager gets sacked and players are not happy about it. That should tell you everything. This chairman is absolutely clueless. Seriously, like, for the people that were on the fence or didn't know what's going on here about Daniel Levy, surely it's got to be the majority have woken up in seeing what this chairman is doing to this football club now. Surely. I just don't see it any other way.
There's a pivotal element from today onwards, really, because whether you were Ange in or Ange out, the common denominator is still there. Like the reasoning behind whether that manager was selected or we came to this conclusion of how our performances went. Yeah, okay, there was some tactical things and some elements towards the injury crisis that could have been helped from a managerial perspective, absolutely. But the squad depth, everything, the decision making has always come down to not necessarily just one individual. I know there's a board, but his name's on everything, and it's almost like, oh, this success is too much. Like, it's not. I'm not being looked at enough. I must sack someone so that I can put a statement out and talk about foundations. It's always been ego driven, in my opinion. Like I've said it many times in the past, and I always use the terminology of egotistic. It's a significant trait of his. Like, if you can't see that, go look up the definitions of what that is, and you can see the exact reasoning as to why I'm mentioning him in that term. The managerial instability, the inability to pass power or control or management to other departments, to other people, it never lasts. It's very interesting when, you know, new employees come in for strategic purposes, or the reasoning of being strategic purposes, whether it's for recruitment, whether it's for strategy of football, naming, whatever it is. Isn't it funny they don't really stay around for too long, and they always come out like maybe 5-6 years later in their own little documentaries or articles saying how difficult it was to work with him, or he just wasn't listening. And yeah, that's where that's not new to me. Like I've seen him been doing this for years upon years, and even, you know, Brian's just mentioned, like, even, you know, back to 2007, the early elements of that was so obvious. It's like right in our faces, where we don't always like acknowledge it all the time. But for me, you know, from that aspect, I think it's too business orientated. He has to step away into that commercial area somewhere, or just go completely and bring in someone that's more football agile, someone that's more appropriate to the footballing strategy, because we keep going around in these constant circles every 12, 18, 24 months. The word accountability has to come into play, because it's like with any other job, any other career, in any of our lives that's in the live chat, you guys, whatever, we either usually have to answer to someone, or we are accountable for our actions or our mistakes at some point. There's only so many times in a job that you would make a mistake or make the constant mistakes before you're out the door. He has had the advantage, really, that he hasn't really had anyone to answer to, other than the guy who sits in a yacht halfway across the world, who just cares about one thing: are we in profit? What's the number? Fantastic, you're doing the job, brilliant. Don't care about the football. That's all it's ever been. And ENIC were very clear on that when they took over Tottenham, that football was not a priority for them. It's not a passion for them, and that still remains today. And the fact, you know, even in the parades, Levy wasn't very interactive with anyone, and kind of understandable, because probably 90% of the fan base now don't like him or want to see his face. Evident again in the last game of the season, where he was booed when his face came up on the screen. All of those things, of course, are into consideration. But when you look back around to the fact of Ange in or Ange out, we're now back into the position where you've believed in Ange's strategy along this season, because you could have sacked him December, or maybe even just before that, or even in February, when things were going really bad in the league, like constantly, irrespective of the injuries, the arguments behind that. You could have done it then, but you didn't, because you've obviously had a conversation, and Andrew's probably twisted your arm and said, we can win something this year. I believe in this team. He's in a win-win position, because if we didn't win Europa League, he's going to be sacked. If we did win it, he could use the league as an example of, this isn't working for us. So you're either going for the foundation project approach, which is not 2 years. You have to look beyond that. You have to look at what's worked well, not worked well. How do we improve? How do we develop? It's not been done at that. The statement suggests it when he's left today. Thank you for your work. Thanks for this is the foundation that we've got to build on. Well, you've kind of diminished this point now, because I was actually last week, forgive me, Brian, a small part of credit going to Levy to say you actually stood by a manager for once. Like,
I agree.
Yeah.
Earlier
I
this
was giving
season,
him credit for it.
to go, I'm not going to sack you. I'm going to see this through. If it happens, happens. Great. If it doesn't happen, well, you're probably out the door. Fine, whatever. So you've done that, but then you've had the audacity, and it's very clear that even with the Europa League or not, they've had communication with other managers, which is massively disrespectful anyway, but it's just what happens in football these days. You've obviously thought about it from day one after that Europa League to today. It either means you've got someone ready, because I very much doubt that they're just going to sack someone and then go on an elaborate list of people that they want to talk to. Delays, the summer's already here, training, etc., new philosophy, blah, blah, blah. So they've been doing this for a while, 100%. And when I read that statement, it agitates me massively, because it's the same nonsense that they put in every single PR statement, and it's always that man at the bottom of those letters signing it off, because it's almost like, I get the last talk here, like, off you go, it's all back on me again. People talking about me again. Now I get to pick the next manager again. I'm bored of it. I'm tired of it.
And also, Si, on what you were saying as well, Si, like if they're now saying they put out this statement, right, saying despite despite the circumstances surrounding injuries and despite the circumstances surrounding prioritizing the Europa League, we still think we need to do another approach. Well, like I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, if you don't think that those injuries are a valid excuse, then why didn't you sack him in December or January when we were losing game after game after game, right? And there was reports coming out saying they have sympathy with the injury crisis, and that's why they're keeping him on, right? But now they're saying, well, it doesn't matter. That wasn't a valid excuse. You shouldn't have been losing all those games. So why did you keep him on? After all those when we were losing game after game in January and December and February, if you didn't think it was a valid excuse, and now we've come through all that, and Andrew's job when all the players come back and in this last part of the season was to prove that when we get our players back, and when we're all settled team and we have our proper players, right, and we have choice and whatever, we're not a bad team. And he won the Europa League when that happened. He went all the way, lifted the trophy. That was his justification. Look, I got my players back. Here's your trophy. I showed you I'm not a bad manager. I showed you actually it was these injuries. And now they've come back and said, well, you've lost all those games. Well, he must be saying, but you said you agreed with us in January about the injury problems. What do you mean? That's what he must be saying. Like you told us, like you said, that you agreed that this injury crisis was a massive problem, and you stuck with me in January when I was losing all those games, so I could show that when I got my players back, that I'm showing something. And he's got that Europa League, he's won it. And I was saying, well, remember all those months you were losing games because of injuries, but I wasn't good enough. It's like, what? Well, why didn't you sack me then? Why didn't you sack me then?
You won a trophy, mate. You don't like trophies at this football club. Everyone that wins a trophy at this football club suffers the same fate. It's like the dictator behind his back. You're close to winning a trophy, you win a trophy. That's it. You get the chop. It's unbelible.
Spursy disappeared 2 weeks ago, and now it's come back. Like within 2 weeks.
Audacity of this chairman. You talk about mistakes. Everyone make mistakes and stuff, but every manager pays for their mistakes, right? But Ange actually, at the end of his mistakes, corrected it and won a trophy. When's Levy going to pay for his mistakes? When
there's no accountability.
4 years of mistakes in it, and he's still there, sitting in a job, getting the biggest director's fee out of everyone in the Premier League.
There's no one challenging him. So that's
great.
These rumors of the Joe Lewis's daughter taking over, whatever it might be, until that happens or another ownership comes in, and he doesn't want to relinquish his position if another owner comes in. That's not going to work. Like, just bugger off, mate. No one wants you here. Like, just go away, take your money. Thank you for 25 years of whatever. Just go. Like, but he wants to constantly be in the narrative, in everyone's mind, and that is egotistic to the point. That is all it is. And how do you stop something like that? Well, you have to have an owner above him or someone that comes in and goes, I'm here now. You're gone. See you later. Done. Take your shares. Keep your shares. Don't care. Just go away somewhere. Go somewhere else. That's the only way it can be done, because he's not going to go anywhere. You're going to turn down 500 grand a year in just bonuses for doing not much at all. No, you're not. Salary, shares, everything. He's going to sit there until someone pushes him out.
Well, you know what? This is. We keep talking about sliding door moments at this football club, whether it was the 4-1 at Liverpool, whether it was the Champions League final and kicking on. Well, do you know what? Right here, right now, we have the biggest sliding door moment as a Spurs fan base that we've ever had under Daniel Levy's tenureship, because there are so many people that were in defensive hands. Whether people wanted him in, loved him, hated him, whatever. We've got to this point now where there's so much love for him, like we saw at the parade, like you saw before kickoff. Ben, you were there. Stell, you were there. I'm sure Simon, you were there. I know you were in the studio. So people waving those flags about. Everyone was kind of together, unified, enjoying that moment, which every Spurs fan rightly should. Well, now we're here. Now we're here, and the knives have come out for him. This is a massive. So forget what's going to go on. We'll get to managers and everything right now. As Simon was just saying, until he's held accountable, until this is done, right here, right now, is the biggest sliding door moment for what this fan base can do and how loud we can make the noise to stop this from happening, because it's got to be now. It's got to be now. This fan base is in absolute uproar, as they always are, amongst each other. And whilst it's divide and conquer, the man at the top just sits there laughing, going, I can't believe I'm getting away with this. I'm doing it again. Look at them. Look at them. It's now. It's now that this fan base has got to come together.
I want to actually, Stel, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing
Big up,
well.
Stel.
I want to ask you something, because reading, I'm sure you've read the statement, right? Reading that statement, I've seen a lot of people say, reading the statement, a lot of people who have, obviously, I'm talking about the people who agree with the decision to sack Ange. I've heard a lot of them say, reading that statement, it's hard to argue with a lot of points that the statement makes about the 78 points, 66 games, and even despite the injuries and despite the prioritizing Europa League, we feel that we need an approach that can go juggle multiple competitions, and we feel a different approach is needed. Blah blah blah. And this isn't me digging you out, but that is obviously a lot of stuff you've been saying throughout the season. Obviously, before you won the Europa League. So I want to get your reaction to reading Tottenham basically making a lot of those points in their statement is as their justification to sacking Ange.
I don't know who wrote this statement. Simon and I were just chatting about an hour ago if ChatGPT did it.
Weren't signed off manual like always, was it?
First of all, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me on. Big up the show, the audience, panel, everyone.
Big up, Stel.
Look, guys, I'm livid, man. I'm absolutely livid. Honestly, I'm helping at a Cypriot festival this weekend, and I got the news whilst I'm volunteering all weekend, and I got the news, and I just felt sad. And it's funny because all the Spurs fans there that I'm older generation, they all said to me, "This is stupid." Like, no one said this is a good idea, and I think it's that club statement just felt like a rinse and repeat of when Poch was sacked or other managers. It's just, how can we come across defending what we've done, but tell the club that we're in a really good place to build from and be polite to the previous manager, but yet take digs at him? And then I thought Ange's statement was class. A bit scripted as well, but I thought that was class. I just, you know what, guys? Ange in, Ange out, I don't care. It's done now, right? It doesn't matter what we think. It's done. There's going to be a new manager. I just can't get behind another project. There is no way I can get behind another project because I just feel so misled and conned by what they've done this time more than ever before. When it was Mourinho, he's come in to be a winner. Conte was the last throw of the dice. Ange was Levy admitting that he'd made mistakes in the past. He took his eye off the ball. We've got our Tottenham back. It's all bullshit. It's all just lies. They spin this story, grab the fans on board. Youth project, entertaining football project. The project's failed. People that say it hasn't, but we won a trophy, so it's not failed. It has failed. He was given a 4-year contract, not a 2-year contract. If you sack a manager, something has failed. Otherwise, why are you sacking the manager? Every project, every plan, every process, every sales pitch ends in failure. 17 managers, 7 football directors. Now we're going to have a new manager and a new coaching team and a new football director. And the whole thing was a lie. There was no plan. There was no process. If there was genuinely a process and a plan, they would have stuck with him and said, right, this season we expect this now to happen. But they've ended it. So there was no project or plan. And I just don't get it. I don't get it because, suddenly our fan base cares about league position. If you've qualified for the Champions League, where do you care where you finish? What does it matter? If you finish 15th, 17th or 10th, you've won a trophy and you're in the Champions League. It's the same as finishing top 5. So why do we all suddenly care? And then people will say, oh, but come on, the money we've lost by finishing 17th. Okay, what about the money we're paying out in compensation? That counterbalances whatever league position deficiencies financially we've encountered. You know, we've paid Conte, Mourinho, Poch, AVB, Nuno, and we've paid over £100 million in compensation. Are you telling me these managers combined have lost us more than that? I don't think so. Guys, whatever argument fans make for, but the league position's our bread and butter, you know, financially we can't afford it. We can't afford to pay £100 million in compensation to managers. It's the same thing. There's no argument here. If people are upset by the football and they don't believe the football can progress, there's an argument maybe to be had. But that's why I counted it by saying he deserves a chance. Prove us that last year was an anomaly. It's almost like we want to be successful, but we don't want to go through the pain of building something successful. There's always pain when you build something successful. Ange proved he can win under Levy and Enoch. Ange proved that he could bring silverware to this club. He did his job. He said, second year, I get my trophy. He did it. He came and he did what he said. And we sacked him. Look, whether it's Glasner, whether it's Xavi, whether it's Thomas Frank, whether it's Pep Guardiola, guys, I actually don't care. I really couldn't care less. I'll go to games and support my team. I'll sit there and hope something happens, but there's no way I'm putting any hope, any love into another project with this ownership. I don't believe a word that comes out of their mouths. I don't believe anything they say to me again. I've learned my lessons. I made mistakes. We've got out rubbish. Absolute crock of lies. Again, you've sacked another manager. You never believed in him. You never truly backed him. You haven't got your Tottenham back. The whole thing is a con. The only way I could possibly come on board is if Levy's no longer the chairman. That entire board has gone. And maybe Enoch go as well. I need to see drastic removal of individuals at the higher echelons of Spurs for me to back any project again, guys. Because, you know, this was the one. We were told there's no more COVID. The stadium's now being paid off. We can service the debt. We don't have any restrictions on us. We are compliant with FFP. We're compliant with PSR. We're generating record revenues. Now we are in prime position. Well, the project's failed, mate. What's the excuse? And we're already hearing we're going to have to buy before we sell. If Thomas Frank comes in, be under no illusion, guys. It's not because he's a top coach. It's because he works under a tight budget. And that's going to be the remit. And we know as soon as you come up against Liverpool, Cities, Arsenal's, there's no tight budget that they're dealing with. We will fall short. The next manager, 6 months, 24 months will be gone. This is going to be another rinse and repeat. And I'm genuinely gutted because I know where we go from here next. And where we go from here next, if Levy's still chairman and Enoch own the places, just screenshot this. We'll be back in 24 months, guys. I can't get behind another project. Not because I don't want to. I don't see where any logical argument can defend or support realistically a project working. They never work. They never work under this ownership because they haven't got what it takes to actually deliver a project. Yeah, we got a trophy. Well done. Good. Levy, well done. You stuck with him. You got the trophy. But now you've hit the reset button. I know for sure there's going to be players that want out. I know for sure that there's going to be players the new manager can't work with, doesn't suit his way. And I know we're going to have to go for a rebuild again. So, guys, I can't get behind another project, man. I simply can't. Each to their own. And that statement from the club was just a generic template pulled off the internet, and they just changed a few words where you get the empty spaces. And yeah, I'm done with it. I'll always support Tottenham. It's my club, but to hell with a new project, guys. There's no way. There's no chance. Sorry. That's where I stand as a fan.
Yeah. Well, sorry. If it is Thomas Frank next season, like I was saying this to Ben earlier, like we were doing a video, like what Stell was saying is it's going to be another project, isn't it? It's going to be another guy we have to give time to. He's not. He might hit the ground running. He might be fantastic straight away as a chance, but the likelihood is he's never managed in Europe before. It's a much bigger job than what he's faced before in his career. So maybe it might take him until December or whatever to really get going, right? Or figure things out. There's a good chance that might happen. And I was saying to Ben, like, if he has a start like say like Nuno, where he's struggling, let's say early on, are we gonna Nuno him? Do you think? Is there a chance? But they've kind of backed themselves into a corner now because they've decided to sack the guy who's won a trophy. So they're saying, okay, the guy, we're going to replace him with another project. But would they be forced to like do like what United have done with Amorim, whereas like however bad it gets, they kind of have to stick with it because they've backed themselves into a corner? Or is there a chance like they would Nuno him like 10 games in if we're really struggling? You think?
I think I'll try and keep it a bit short because I know Brian knows a lot more emphasis on Frank than I do. But for me, it's nail on the head what Stell was saying. You know, we're now the reset button. Like, how many times do we have to reset? Because now you're going to have maybe some demoralized players. It's crazy that we won a major trophy 2 weeks ago and we're already diminished with morale as a fan base. And probably the players in some aspects as well. I'm sure they've still got a bit of a high from the win and everything, and a good summer ahead, relaxing for a bit. But now it's another change. It's like some of the players have been like who were backing Ange throughout the whole season. It was very rare, and it's the first time I've seen in my Tottenham lifetime players coming out about the regime of Tottenham Hotspur in the ownership perspective, and that's a really strong message of cohesion with players and fans for something.
Just quickly, just to add on that. So I'm just going to add. I just want to show the audience. This is a tweet, an Instagram post that Danso liked today, and it's calling for fans to protest.
It's unbelievable, and this reset, you're going to have players demoralized. You're going to have to swing them around, or you're just in the position where some of these players, like Romero, where we may have thought that they were going anyway, and then you're going to get the crazy fans that praised him throughout the whole season or the last few seasons, all of a sudden saying because he's left, we never wanted him anyway, or he was rubbish, this, that, and the other. So we've got to contend with all that nonsense throughout the summer. But then if a manager's coming in, and in my perspective of Frank, of what I know, is he has got a great ability as a manager. We know that, and under the the restricted budgets, etc. But he's going to have a new philosophy. The players then have to adapt to that, which they've spent the last 2 years working on a different philosophy, a different level of tactics. Whether it was working or not is another question, of course. But that has a reset. You then got players that are demoralized or are still in that Ange philosophy. Don't want another manager, have to get used to that or go and find something else. And then you've got to bring in players that fit this next philosophy, which we know is definitely not going to happen in one summer. It's definitely not going to happen in January either. And we'll be here again 2 years' time, as exactly as Stell said. Not just from the philosophy of the manager, but the fact that how long we take to get players in to make that philosophy apparently work or not work. And then it just goes round and round and round and round and round. And is it going to be a Nuno situation? Honestly, I said on Stell's channel earlier, I feel sorry for the next manager coming to our club. I generally feel that way because you're probably going to ruin your career or look like an idiot, and it's not your fault at all. And I'm really sorry on behalf of all the Spurs fans that you have to go through this in your career at this stage. And whether it's 6 months, 12 months, in my mindset, same as Stell, and I'm sure the majority of Spurs fans out there, it's like the soul's being sucked out of us, and we're just now anticipating the next boring circle that will come in 18 to 24 months' time. I don't care who it is next. I will back them, like Stell said. I will support my team. I will go travel all the time that I do, every home game, and as many away games as I possibly can, as always. But I will go with the mindset like I have done for the last 5-6 years. I don't expect anything anymore. it sounds really demoralizing and depressing, but that's just how it's been led. Until Levy is gone, I have no indication of 25 years of experience, which is a long time, of anything giving me an inkling as to why this would change or why it would be different. Over to you, Brian, because I know you have.
Yeah, Brian. Before you say that, I just want to know, like, what do you think that Danso liking a message like that? What do you think that says about the current mindset in the dressing room?
The current mindset in the dressing room is pretty much what the current mindset you would imagine of what people like myself, Stel, Simon, and others have said. We've had managers been thrown under the bus by players. We've had managers that, I mean, I got caught up in it a few months ago, thinking that, especially with the Madison when he did the thing AZ Alkmaar, when it was like always the same whatever he was. I literally thought, yep, there is complete civil unrest here. It's going to affect it. But you can clearly see, and as Stel and I spoke, and I mentioned when I came on your show the other day, a very, very good friend of ours that everyone on this panel knows and people in this chat will know, Billy Carnes, who is a avid, like you two, Ben and Sim, that go literally everywhere with this football club, has seen it all, goes to with managers that he literally goes everywhere, has said, do you know what? You can literally, you cannot tell me these players weren't playing for Ange. You cannot look me in the eye. I have watched what I've watched. Football may not have been great. And you could see at the end, you could see even when they brought out the banner saying I always win in my second season, there is no doubt those players were playing for Ange. And you've seen by the outpouring today, Porro's come out. Whether that's been like we need to put a statement out, you never know. But what I will say, when it comes to Thomas Frank now obviously I wanted Thomas Frank before Ange Postecoglou came in. He was my number one pick. I really, really, really do like him. But where we've got now is, first of all, us as a fan base, it doesn't matter. If we're not all arguing, I think we explode or die. Because literally, so many people were having a go at people say, well, before the game, before the final, everyone wanted Ange out, but now people are Ange in. Well, now that we've got Ange out, people are already slamming and belittling the next guy who's the overwhelming favourite at the moment before he's even had a chance. Say, well, what can this guy do? Where can this guy get us? People remember that right now, we've fallen so far behind over the last few years. The Newcastle and Villa have entered the conversation. This ain't a big 6 now; it's a big 8.
Mm.
It's a big 8, and the other 7 have been strengthening and strengthening and strengthening, and are already strengthening. We were already behind. We were already behind them before this, and they're going to go out and spend. And the 2 that haven't got in the Champions League are going to go, right, we need to get back in the Champions League. Let's spend. We're sitting here doing nothing. I then hear people saying, do you know what? Thomas Frank, what's he won? Well, Pochettino hadn't won anything till he won a league title at PSG. Eddie Howard only won. You can get, when I'm saying this, you can give me a load of managers that haven't won anything, but before a manager wins something for the first time, they haven't won anything. So are we just discounting every single manager out there that has never won a trophy? It's like, no, you haven't won a trophy, be gone with you. You can't do that. Then I hear, okay, well, he must be shit because Ange done the double over him. Ange done the double over him. He finished 18 points ahead of us. Which one would you rather?
But Brian,
go on, Ben.
This ain't about managers. I mean, every manager that comes in
is doomed for failure.
Every manager that comes in, we say this is the last chance for Enoch. This is the last point. This is it for them. You know what I mean? If Enoch fell, this manager, they've got nowhere left to turn. I mean, surely we're at that point now. Where have they got to turn? Like, how many more? Like Stel said, like, how many more failed projects can we go through? That liked post from Kevin Danso is a damning indictment of where Enoch had led us as a football club. A player that has been here for 6 months is already waking up and smelling the coffee. When are the rest of the fan base going to do the same?
Can I say, Ben, if you want to change the subject from managers to a Daniel Levy hateathon, boy, have you got the panel to do it. Boy, have you got the right panel right here, right now to go ahead.
Brian,
can I just say something?
Danny, I just want to
go on, Stone.
Look, Brian and I agree on a lot. This Frank thing, like we were speaking off air just before Brian went live. I'll tell you what it is for me, Brian. Right. People have said to me, Keith Berkhamshaw, Bill Nick, they didn't win anything before they came to Spurs. It was both of theirs first job was Tottenham. I think Berkhamshaw did 1 year at Newcastle first, but this was their first gig.
Mm-hmm.
Within 5 years, they were winners.
Yep.
This is going to be Thomas Frank's third gig. He won nothing at Bromby for 2 years. He's won nothing at Brentford at 10 years. He couldn't even win the championship, by the way. He lost a playoff and then he won a playoff in third. There's nothing about him that says winner. Good coach, you've got a good argument. But and the reason I put emphasis on being a winner is because what's the point of building a £1 billion stadium, having all this revenue, being called a Big Six club if it's not about winning? And the emphasis now is all about, can you coach a couple of youngsters and can you get us in top six? If that's what it's about, we might as well stay at White Hart Lane with AVB, and he was doing that. So for me, when I look at Frank, I don't see someone that's going to elevate us to what this stadium was projected to do. If Glasner came in, I'm humble enough to say, do you know what, guys? I wanted Ange to be given a chance because he won the Europa, but Glasner won the Europa with Frankfurt. My God, he gave a mid-table Crystal Palace their first ever trophy. I can see a pathway. But with Frank, he just seems like he's saying yes because no one else would want this job that's got brains of real intelligence.
Yeah, but it's not just that.
I'm not diminishing Frank, guys.
To bring in the bigger players. This is, like you said, we've got to stop thinking. If people think we go get a Jurgen Klopp out of retirement, a Xavi, no one of this elite level will want to come to this football club because they won't come for, but we've got a lovely training ground and stadium. They won't come. They won't come.
This is the whole point, Brian. This is the whole point.
I agree with you there, Brian. I agree with that bit.
I agree with that too. But it's the fact that we've got someone who has managed to win a major trophy under Enoch's regime, right? And we've gone and sacked him. And also the players seem to have... I know there was definitely players, one or two players, or a couple of players that still wasn't fully on board of Ange, but you're always going to get in the squad. You can't make everyone happy. That's in life. That's in life in anything you do, any company you work for. Not everyone's always going to be happy, right? So the thing is with Ange, right? No matter what anyone says about him, no matter what he did in 2 years in the Premier League, right? By merit, by what he did, right? And the one thing that so many of these fans seem to forget is the one thing they kept talking about was, I want a trophy. And what does he go and do? He literally told us at the beginning of the season, I always win in my second season. And he went and did it, regardless of what happened in the Premier League, right? Yes, we all know, we're not blind. We all know that it finished, we finished in the worst possible way, the worst Premier League ever record we've had in the Premier League history. Whatever, right? Okay, we understand that. But let's be honest, right? Look at the team that we had. We didn't really have... I know the team could perform at a better level, right? But look, let's be honest, right? The injuries they played a massive part in what happened with Spurs, right? They did. And as much as people want to dismiss that, just look at the difference when Van der Ven and Romero play. It does make a massive difference, right? And we luckily enough managed to have near enough a full... our main starting 11 for that final, right? Now, the thing that annoys me, now I know just one thing, just to go back on what Brian was saying about...
He should have adapted though, Danny. He should have adapted.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'm going to mention this in a sec still, but I just wanted to go back on what...
I think we still get lost, but he should have adapted.
No, I know that, right? But what I'm saying is, with Brian, when he mentioned about Poch, right? the reason why people got excited for Poch is because we saw what he did with the style of football that Southampton were playing. They were destroying teams. They were playing teams. They were winning 3 or 4-0 sometimes, Brian. Right? I remember Sadio Mane and Wanyama looked like unbelievable machines at what he built at Southampton. Right? He got a team playing an unbelievable style of football, right? And that's why people got excited, because with Frank, has anyone sat here and said, "Oh my God, Frank's football is amazing"? Like I
He has
watched
played some great football this season. They're
No,
the most
but
informed
Brian,
team. Mate, this is the thing. We moved the goalposts. Bournemouth,
Right.
Brentford, one of the highest goal scorers at home in the Premier League. They were the what? Everyone was going there and saying you've got to go.
Didn't we score more goals than Brentford?
No, I'm saying
Brentford scored more.
Brentford scored more. Brentford had their front three scoring over 50 goals for the season. Their front three scoring over 50 goals for the whole season. Ours haven't.
Brian,
People have said they want a better coach team. They want a manager that can adapt, a manager that can change systems, a manager. So then you get linked with one, and then it's like, oh my God, what's he won?
Brian?
Oh my God, it's this fan base. Honestly, this fan base.
Brian,
is absolutely
that's not the point.
crazy.
The point is, why are we hiring Thomas Frank?
Because no one will come. We won't pay the manager.
So why not?
Let's go get Klopp. Go get Klopp. He'll come.
No, we're
going to give him 100 million. Nothing's going to happen.
Brian. We're not.
So then don't sack Ange. Then don't sack
Ange.
That's mate. I was with you on that. I was with you on that, but he has been sacked. He has been sacked.
You know, right?
We can say don't sack him. He's sacked. He's gone.
I want to ask you this question, right?
My good God.
Why do you think Ange was sacked? Really?
Because Daniel Levy's a prick.
No. Seriously, right? We know that.
Daniel Levy is a prick.
Right, but why? What's the main
He is being
reason?
serious, Danny. He is being serious.
I know he is, but
I agree with Brian Bagel. I agree with Brian Bagel.
I agree
So
too.
do I.
I agree completely, right? But what's the actual reason behind why he's sacking? And I don't buy this bullshit.
Daniel Levy is a
Tottenham.
prick.
No, but Tottenham finishing 17th, right? I don't believe that's the main reason why.
What's the reason, Danny? What's the reason in your eyes?
Personally, I think this is what I think. Right? This is just my own opinion, right? I think that what's happened is Ange started to build a strength within the players, the dressing room, the staff, right? And I genuinely think what that did, right, for Levy, because we all got to remember, Levy does not want to win things. He is not, because whenever if we win something, it makes it harder for him to do the job that he wants to do, which is just to make money, right? That's what he wants. He doesn't want, because it means it raises the expectations of the fans who want to see more trophies, right? Because that's what we all live for, right? And I'm sorry, I don't agree with any fan.
Danny, wait a sec. But surely, if we're a winning club, we're bringing more money.
No, but the thing is, yeah, if we win the Premier League or the Champions League, but we're never going to do that, right?
Yeah,
because
but Danny, winning Europa gave us Champions League money.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying still. I'm saying if you were to be consistently in the Europa League, you consistently challenge for that or win it again and again, like Seville did, especially nowadays, right, with how much money you can get from it, right, by the TV revenue and all this kind of stuff, you can make a lot of money, right? The thing is, we are never going to be a team that's going to win a Premier League under this ownership because they don't have the ambition to do it. And what I think, right, personally, I think that Levy could see what Ange had done by uniting the team, right? A lot of the players within the team. And I think he had to stop that because he does not want to raise the ambitions of the fans, right? This is what I'm going to... This is how I...
That's some deep conspiracy right there, I'll tell you.
Mate, Levy, if you don't go deep with Levy, you'll never understand Daniel Levy. That's the problem. And Brian could probably agree with that because Levy is a mastermind when it comes to manipulation and let's just say making the fans believe something, right? And underneath, there's a lot of hidden agendas. That is Levy to a T, right?
Danny, don't you think you're overthinking this? Don't you think you're overthinking this? Right?
Not at all.
He sacked Ramos after winning a League Cup. He sacked Conte after getting to a league when he got to. He sacked Mourinho when he got to a league final. He sacked Ange after winning Europa Cup. He sacked Poch after getting to a Champions League final. Isn't it just a case that we've got a chairman that prioritises league position over silverware or getting to finals with the potential to win silverware? Levy's number one remit is get me top 4, minimum top 6. Once you drop out of that, your job's on the line, regardless of what you win, regardless of what final you get to. And Brian, do you know what? Do you know how I know Thomas Frank's going to be an issue? I'll tell you how I know. Because whenever there's a division on something, that's the red flag. Werner, Johnson, Solanke, Ange, Frank. When fans are divided on something, that's when all the red flags for me flag. I'm not saying Frank will do a bad job, but I don't think he's going to do a good enough job to be here in 2 years' time.
Not at all. Not
But
at all.
still,
Not at
the
all.
fans were divided when we brought in Pochettino. The fans were divided then, and ever since
I
sacking,
think we've learned though since then. We've learned a lot since then about this club, haven't we?
No.
No, we,
Shit.
not us
ever
here.
since bringing
Us six.
ever since sacking Pochettino, the fans have been divided on every single decision since then. Like,
Yeah.
what are we supposed to do?
know-
We're never
Don't
going to be
you
happy.
don't you think we're more kind of full throttle with it now? Like Ben, we're more. It's far more. What's
Can
the word?
I just say something,
Spicy,
right?
more
Can I just
angry
say
now.
something,
It's,
People growing more tired and more tired and more
yeah,
tired.
yeah.
Nothing
Do
is
you
going
not
to change until the ownership change. That's what
Boys.
it all comes down to.
Yep.
Do you
I
not
agree.
think?
I agree.
Do you
I
not
agree.
think, right, that and staying, he might have actually, because he said to us at the end of the season, he now wants experienced players, right? Now, what happens if Frank comes in? We don't
Levy
get
shot
experienced players?
himself.
No, but listen, just hear me out, right? He said it's the same thing that Pochettino did. We now need to rebuild the squad. Ange just said, we now need experienced players. See the pattern? What happens, right? It capitulates.
Conte
because
said we need 60, 70 million pound players.
Yeah, what happened? It capitulates
Maybe
because
that's
every
it.
single.
Maybe that's
But
it.
listen, I said this was going to happen every single time we get to the point where we need to go that extra step, right, to actually go and do the thing that we could do when we've got the chance to do it, and we never do it because what's going to happen? We're going to see a couple more youngsters in the summer. Thomas Frank's going to be the yes man, and they're going to say, "Do you know what? We've got a squad good enough who's won the Europa League. You just need to do better with this squad." That's what's going to happen.
Danny, do you realise what you're doing? Do you realise what you're doing? You're talking
What?
about a manager, but you're trying to convince me, still,
No.
and these people here that we should all be going for Levy.
No,
And that we're never going to succeed under Levy.
It's not.
You're
you,
trying
Brian.
to tell me,
No, Brian.
Still,
we're not.
and
no,
the people
we're-
in this
we're
chat,
talking.
that we're
Brian,
going to go nowhere
No,
under
Brian,
Levy.
don't be stupid. No,
Brian, don't you
Yeah, it's
see?
not. Yeah,
It's not
don't you
because
see,
we've been
Brian,
having
it's
this
not
debate.
you, Brian.
I know this. But when we're talking about
the
Frank, I'm
people
saying
watching.
this is
No,
this is
Forget
madness.
Frank. I mean, forget Frank. Even if he is the manager, who cares, right? Honestly, I said I didn't care who the manager was when Conte left, right? For me, I was done, completely done with whoever comes into this club. And winning that trophy is an absolute miracle. What he did to win that trophy, even though we played absolute dog shit throughout the whole season, right? In every competition, we hardly had a good game. So for me, I just think that because there was so much unity building then within the squad, I think that Daniel Levy, because he uses the excuse of, yeah, we finished 17th, look what happened. But to me, I think there's something far deeper going on inside that club, right? Because I don't think, from a logical point of view, apart from the Premier League, you've just won your first European trophy in 41 years, and you go and sack the man who did it and don't even give him a chance. And he said, we need experienced players. What does that tell you? And I guarantee you, if Thomas Frank comes in, I bet you any money we're going to have an absolute dog shit window. And you wait and see what all the fans say then.
I reckon we're
You
going
wait
to
and see what all the fans says. I agree, Sim.
I
Wait
reckon
and
we're
see
going to have a quiet window.
because I guarantee you, we have a quiet window. Let's see what all the fans say about. And do you know what? This is not even about Ange in or out or anything like that. This is about what happens now after the manager's gone and we get the new manager in. Because if we see a summer window where we get a couple of youngsters, we get one or two senior players that are nowhere near the level of an Eze or something like that, right? I guarantee you we are going to have an even worse season next season. Because for me, right, we're going to be playing Champions League football as well. How the hell are these players going to how are they going to manage if we don't have a new front three? That front three is relegation form front three. Relegation
I
form
guarantee.
front
I
three.
don't think we're going to get one player. We'll get one player maybe that's worth like 50 million. I don't think we're going to sign any more than that.
100% Sim. I
But why does it
completely
make
agree
a
with that.
difference if Frank or anyone's our manager?
Exactly.
But this is why, Ben, I said I would have rather have seen Ange given the chance. But I
agree
know
with you.
I know that if he wasn't given the chance, because for Ange to work, I believe certain variables need to happen. First of all, he needs to be given quality players, right? Second of all, he actually needs to, and I think if he had more players he could trust, more quality, I genuinely think that he would adapt more because he'd have more trust in the players that he's got, right? And I think with Ange, he doesn't trust all of those players to play the way he wants to. And I think that after winning that trophy, I think more players would have listened to him and believed in the way what he wanted to do because of winning that under him and winning. Some of those players have never won a trophy before. So it does something to a player when you win a major trophy, right?
Guys,
So for me,
Frank's first competitive game is against PSG.
PSG, yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Then he wins it. And everyone's going to jump on. Then he's going to.
Is it definitely Frank, guys? Is that?
That's the only serious name at the moment.
I think it is.
One good thing about Frank, and I'll give him credit where it's due. He did really, really good work under 16 and under 17 level. Like really good work. I actually think he won a trophy at that age group, but you can't. But you're not going to win trophies at this elite level.
Do you know what I think is going to happen? Still,
not with kids.
Opinion. Do you know what I think is going to happen? I mean, I don't even know how we're gonna do it being in the Champions League, to be honest. But I was just thinking, if he's been brought in because he's good at coaching, they're gonna focus on coaching the players we got, especially the younger ones, right? And the problem is, by doing that, you're gonna have a year or two where we're gonna have very inconsistent football. Him trying to implement his style.
Fans will switch on me.
Exactly my point. Fans, they cannot wait. They cannot wait.
You know it's going to happen. It happens to every manager.
I think about an embolism.
Is there a chance he gets Nuno'd? Is there any chance he gets Nuno'd?
Massive chance.
Well, why is it this fan base say they want a person that coaches players, and with a better coach will be higher up the league? Then Frank gets linked, who is a coach, who is on the training ground, and who does take drills and coaching and enhances players. Look what the players that he's improved at Brentford. So it's when we have Ange, I'll forget the inverted wingers. It doesn't work. He's got what's that. We need a coach. We need a coach. We need a coach.
Brian, I'll tell you why.
Then we get a coach. I just don't get. I honestly still.
It's got nothing to do with Frank. How good or bad he is.
How you and I. From when Ange won the trophy to say, do you know what? This guy deserves a chance because he won something. What I will say to everyone saying, what has he won as a coach? I'm sorry. How many people at the start of the season, when we're saying Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, how many people go, do you know what? League Cup and FA Cup? Yeah, I fancy Brentford for it. Brentford, no one says it because he's at Brentford. Someone's got to get a chance. Yes, I agree. We're normally the ones that give people a chance, but you can't have it that we need a coach. We get a coach. It's not good enough. This coach doesn't do it, but if we get one in, they'll do better. Then we get one in and he does better. It's madness. It's utter madness.
It's because we're a big six club, though, Brian, with this big stadium that it feels like we're looking below ourselves to find a manager where we should be looking at our level or above. I think that's what it is. And you see with Thomas Frank, he's never, ever, ever in his entire life had to manage European football and Premier League football and have some expectation of domestic success. The pressure to be under to do things he's never, ever done before. Look, if he can juggle it, brilliant. Like, fair play to him. But even Poch couldn't juggle it. And Poch is the best we've seen at this cup. He is.
Yeah, that's true.
He came unstuck in the domestic cups and
he came unstuck because, again, it all goes down to the board not backing the manager to get enough quality players. I mean, I've just said it earlier on in the stream I was on before. Still, we've got 3 players in our team that are over 100 grand a week. 3 fucking players. How can you compete with a big 6 when you've got 3 players over 100 grand a week? Like, what does that tell you? And you can't expect to compete with those clubs above us who are in the current top 6 right now when you can't even compete with them on a wage structure.
Guys, if
Glasgow attract the same players,
you're preaching to the choir, Danny. You're preaching to the choir.
If Glasgow, let me ask you guys, if Glasgow was given the job, do you think we'd be having this conversation?
No, more people would be willing to get on board with it. But I still think we'd be having this conversation because it's always going to go back to Daniel Levy and the way he runs his club. We're kind of using this we're kind of using this transfer window, and with Frank coming in and his ability to work with what he's got, and the way Levy kind of operates in the market as a stick to beat Frank with. But it's not a stick to beat Frank with; it's a stick to beat Levy with.
Yeah.
Like if Frank's the one that can come in and actually potentially work with what he's got. You know, he's a really good coach. Don't ever diminish the job that he's done at Brentford. You know, Stel, you said one of the good things that he's done is work at youth level, but the job he's done at Brentford is nothing short of remarkable. Let's get that right. With the resources that he's working with, Brentford are pretty much a championship club. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And
That worries me. But Ben, that worries me because we're
not
looking
just
for a
that.
manager.
being a Premier League club. He's punched
but
above his
not-
weight for so many years.
Not just that, Ben. The one thing you're
Doesn't that
forgetting-
worry you though?
But
Does
still,
that worry
hold on.
you?
The
We're
one
looking
thing
for a
that
manager
Ben-
specifically
hold on,
that works under such extreme criteria, and we're going to expect him to deliver top 4 level
But-
working.
But we should
That's
we
one
should be
point.
asking for
But you're
top 4
missing.
level.
Hold on, guys. You're missing one point. Brentford, their philosophy and their
Their
way
scouting's
they
better than ours as
structure-
well.
Their
They've got better
scouting
scouting,
department
much
is
better.
plays a massive role in how Brentford
Yeah.
have been able to get rid of players and bring in players who they can still he can coach, right?
But Danny, he's wanted half the players that we've signed. Archie Gray, Brennan Johnson, so many players that we've signed, he's wanted at Brentford.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Ben, it's because of the way they're set up to use the data analysis model in the right way. And they are able to churn out players over and over again. We haven't seen that at Spurs, right? So are we going to sit here and say that our recruitment department is going to be as good as Brentford's and Brighton's, right? And be able to get these hidden gems consistently who are going to be able to be like the next Mbuemos and the next like Wissams
Danny,
and all this kind of
who's
stuff.
to say that he won't bring his whole network with him? Who's to say? Like
Daniel Levy we're talking about. Daniel Levy didn't even let it bring. Daniel Levy didn't even let what's his name? Conte bring 7 staff in.
That part I'm not disputing. But whether you want to see that he does it on a small budget or not, it's shown that they can identify talent. It shows that he can improve and develop talent. When all I've been hearing from a majority of fans is Andrew's regressed every single player, and there's been no player. Well, there's been no players improved. He has improved them. If he does come to Tottenham, he will have more money to spend.
Right. So let me ask you a question.
Levy will screw and won't go these 70, 80, 90 million pound players that we may be able to
Of
get.
course not.
But just because Thomas Frank has had to work within a budget, he's had to work within the means of what Brentford bring in. Now, as much as I hate Daniel Levy and as much as I hate where we're going, you go to Tottenham Hotspur, what you can spend becomes a lot bigger. The appeal to join Tottenham Hotspur as a player because of Champions League football now becomes a lot bigger. We can keep going round and round in circles, but no matter what happens here, like you said, all roads go back to Levy.
Yeah.
He can come in. It could be him. It could be anyone. If Xavi comes, people are saying we should go get Xavi. The big named people that are out there, the big ones, are Xavi and Zidane that are available for free that aren't in work right now.
Man.
Do you think any of them, if they heard Tottenham Hotspur were in for them, they would put the phone down and rather stay away than come to this football club? We need to learn right here, right now. People were thinking.
I think Xavi's different, Brian.
People have got to stop thinking right now. When people keep saying right now, Frank doesn't get us top 4, Xavi doesn't get us top 4, Zidane won't get us top 4 because the other 6 are so far ahead of us right now. The other 6 are flying high. We have got so much catching up to do. If anyone thinks, let me just finish that. If anyone, whether you're Angie, whatever, thinks that a manager is going to walk in to Tottenham Hotspur, whatever day of the week we hire this new manager, and get Tottenham Hotspur into the top 4 first season, whilst dealing with Champions League football, FA Cup football, League Cup football, not being backed like every single manager has been failed. People have got to wake up. Tottenham, we're not a big 4 team at the moment.
Those managers of that caliber, Brian,
exactly,
if they had any common sense, they would never come to Tottenham.
Correct, and that's where we've got to look at it. These managers.
So we're accepting below our standards because the managers that this stadium was designed to attract aren't coming here. For me, that further proves Thomas Frank is a sideways step.
If it proves anything, it goes back to, once again, that this whole fan base needs to wake up, smell the coffee, and realise, stop going for the man in the dugout. Stop going for the 11 players. Are they good enough? Are they not good enough? Stop going for everyone and realise that there is a bastard that sits in the middle of the West Stand on the halfway line who just sits there, does not smile, does not show emotion, does not care. Beyonce has been at our bloody stadium more times than Joe Lewis in 25 years. Stop blaming every single other department, the medical team, everything that goes on at this football club right here, right now. It doesn't, mate. We could have Pep and Guardiola as a fucking duo act. Foul. Why? Man at
Guardiola. We could bring him in, mate.
Man at the top. That guy that sits on the halfway line, where still you and me have stood on the front line more than anyone on the YouTube circuit, taken the pelters, taken everything. And in words of Ange, when there was 200 of us outside the club shop or me outside the training ground with Graham and Ryan, we tried to tell people, they laughed, in the words of Ange. When there were 2,500 people there, we changed for Tottenham. People wanted to make up numbers. They laughed. And now that Ange has gone, this should be on the first game of the season, the first home game of the season. That should be 2,000. That should be 10,000 minimum from match day going fans. So it doesn't matter who comes in, who we sign, who we buy. Like we've all said, 2 years down the line maximum, we're right back here going, oh my God, it's done it again. This has got, mate, wage bill. We want to talk about how we're messing up. And who just said wages? Someone just put it in there. Thank you, Carl. Wages. We've now got Werner off. If Romero or Richard, there's more wages. Will we wages? Now that Thomas Frank's here, will Daniel say, yeah, let's smash that transfer?
Yeah, right.
Not say chance, but let's blame Thomas Frank, Ange Postecoglou, Martin Jol. Let's go through the whole goddamn list. Nothing changes at this football club till Daniel Levy leaves it. End of.
So basically, you're just accepting.
What's this image you shared with me? You want me to bring it up?
So yeah, bring it up because this is a really interesting stat, right?
What is
this?
It?
Is basically the Premier League table since October the 28th, 2023, right? So Spurs second bottom, excluding the relegated sides, when omitting the first 10 games of 2023-24. If you look, Brentford have only got 7 more points than us in that amount of time, right?
Brentford.
Right.
Brentford.
It's Brentford.
Right.
Though.
It's what's.
But yeah, it's Brentford though. But look at Palace. The difference in Palace. How much the difference is from.
Look at Brighton. Look at Bournemouth under Iriola.
Look at Brighton.
Guehi. What's his name?
Rubbish, Fanny man.
Daddy, this is not. This is.
I'm just saying. This is just statistics. I'm just saying what it is.
Guys, hold on. What Danny's showing here is there's other clubs like Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Bournemouth, who, with their players and their managers, have outperformed Brentford by a country mile. And you would put Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford in similar brackets. You would.
No, Brentford have a much lesser squad than any of those teams that are above them.
But hold on. Maybe because the managers at those clubs have developed and got a better tune out of those players.
Better players though, better quality.
See, when you look at
Brighton
this,
got better quality than Brentford.
When Brighton were the biggest spenders in the Premier League last season. Brentford,
really?
Yeah, they were. Brighton were the biggest spenders in the Premier League.
What about Bournemouth, guys? What about Bournemouth? Surely we should be looking at Iriola way ahead of Frank.
Bournemouth have, and they've had the.
I think this is what I'm going to bring up is what Ben's trying to say. Let me bring this up. Let me take this off. This is why I think a lot of people value Frank. This is current Premier League wages. Look where Brentford are.
Oh, amazing! That's why Daniel Levy wants him.
Exactly. That's exactly why Daniel Levy.
But that's a red flag, though. That's a red flag. It's a red flag.
Look how low his wages are
in life. I think I've reached my limit. I think I'm going to have a breakdown.
Yeah, but what this says to me is Spurs are going to look to sign players on 40 grand a week, 60 grand a week.
That's exactly it.
That's all Brentford can do.
That's nothing to do with
Yeah, but
Frank,
that's what
though.
Levy wants to do,
That's what
Brian.
Levy wants to do as well, though. You get it.
It doesn't.
This
Look,
is-
Brian, you're not understanding. It's not. To
I'm
do with his
understanding
ability.
fine. So
No,
wait a
it's
minute,
not
wait a
to
minute.
do.
So
It's not to do with his
so
ability.
we need a better
Blaming
coach.
Frank for it. It's not
We
Frank's
need a
fault.
better coach, and he coaches, but that's not good enough.
Yeah,
now,
but do you know
now
what,
because
Brian,
Brentford have a
bringing in
smaller
Frank-
budget, it's do you know
Bringing
what
in
this
Frank,
man honestly.
What do you think that means? What do you think that means when Ange Postecoglou basically said, "Oh, we need to sign experienced players," and he goes and sacks him?
Do you know what? I want to apologise to every single Spurs fan
No,
I
no,
may.
no.
Whoa.
Brian,
No. Still, I want to apologise to every single Spurs fan I may have offended, saying, "My God, what is going on here? These fans need to wake up. We're all fucking batshit crazy. We are all batshit crazy, and this is exactly what Levy. What this is absolute. Mate,
Brian, can I? You know what? I see
taking
both your
the
points, guys. I see both your points. Right. Let me just clarify this. What I've understood Brian's saying is but Frank is exactly what we need because he better coaches under these strict requirements.
Yeah,
Surely
correct.
that's what we need, right? What Danny's saying is, but it's these strict requirements that we're constantly having to work under, which is why we don't progress as a club. So by accepting Frank, we're accepting the same model that constantly fails.
Correct.
Both of you are right, but this comes back to what I said on your show, Benison, the other day. What do Spurs fans want? If they want league position and a trophy, that won't happen unless Levy breaks the wage structure and the transfer budget. It comes back to Levy to compete with City, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Yeah.
If they want
Newcastle
either
and
league
Villa.
position or trophy, then fans have to compromise. No glory, just league position.
I don't
or
think it's even
no
about
league
compromise,
position and just
Darren,
glory,
or-
which is what Ange gave them. Spurs fans can't have what they want with this chairman. You can't have both.
We
One or the
can't have
other.
it.
correct.
We can't.
One or the other.
We can't compromise. It's nothing to do with us. It's what Daniel Levy and Enoch wants, and that is to diminish the football club as much as possible, to make as much profit as possible, and restrict every amount of financial implication towards them as much as possible, i.e., the wages, the player transfers, the quality of everything, the salaries, not just for the players but for the manager as well. I've said it for many years, and it's very obvious to everyone anyway that the football club of Tottenham almost doesn't really exist anymore. It is a pure business entity. It is about the bottom line, and especially with that new stadium, the capacity, the ability that it has to conform to other events, to other sporting activities. The football is taking a secondary or even a third stance these days. That's all that Levy and Enoch count for. And agreeing with the fact that Danny has a fantastic point, Brian has a fantastic point. The ultimate thing is the aspiration of our club is completely diminished. We have almost nothing left. We are now stuck with the mediocrity aspect of everything, which is something that us fans, other than protesting and keep pushing for that Levy out regime, it's not going to change. It's not going to get any better. It's what they want as a business. Simple as that. That is all we are. It's exactly the same I say to United fans. Careful what you wish for when you look at that new stadium. I'm telling you now, in 5-10 years' time, your football club will not be there anymore. It will still operate as a football team, of course, but everything else will take precedence across that. It will become a circus like we are. And it's disheartening. It's the most agitating thing out of the whole thing for me is the principle that Tottenham has come an element of materialism and the diminishing of the football club. We've been used and abused completely. The identity of Tottenham has been abused completely to emphasize the greed and wants of a business empire, which is Enoch. And we have to get this done and dusted to make this regime change, the people that are in charge of it, Daniel Levy out of it as soon as possible, because otherwise we have to get used to this mentality moving forward. The top managers are not coming anymore.
We've got some super chats we've neglected, so we should probably get through them. We Jock Poopong McClop.
What a name! What a name!
If
Name
I
of the day,
I
that is.
apologize for laughing. But,
That's wicked.
we had a
That's his
base
actual
build.
birth name, I heard.
Huh?
That's his actual birth name, I heard.
It says we had a base to build from. Now we're back to square one. 2 weeks ago we were so back. Now it has never been so over.
How mad is it? Literally 2 weeks ago, we were all on top
Ryan
of the
Bagel.
world. Literally the best week of our lives we have just witnessed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stel had turned into like the best version of Stel I've ever bloody seen. He was happy, he was wearing his hat. Me and Brian still, we were dancing down the high road. It's just unbelievable.
Back to normal.
Things have
Back
changed.
again.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough to take at the moment.
Me and you
Marcus,
two were in the bricklayers till 2 a.m. on the bloody parade. The parade. The
we had a
parade
parade.
seems like it was 5 years
200,000
ago
fans.
now.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Danny, I've just had a couple more things. Actually, I've just remembered a couple more things to speak to you about with this. So first of all,
It was an
who's
illusion.
one of your favourite players that you've wanted Spurs to sign for the last couple of years?
And Wemo.
Who developed him?
Yeah, Frank. But
Okay,
look who he's going to.
we'll forget that bit. And you brought up the table just now of
But who brought in Wemo?
Frank.
No, it was the whole recruiting scout team.
Oh my! So now it's okay, fine, yeah, because he doesn't get okay, right.
Of course, he gets a say, but it's the
Frank
same.
is
It's the same thing as like Tottenham recruiting someone. Ange has a say on it.
Do you know what? You know when you're playing that basketball game and they move the basketball net back? That's what we're doing, you and me. But then finally, you wanted to bring up that table with Brentford being 7 points ahead of him over how many games?
Well, I don't know why you're trying to justify Thomas.
No,
Frank.
I'm just saying because this.
Guys, Sim's got 10 super chats. And
I just want to say you brought up that table saying that we're only 7 points ahead over XYZ games. I base my thing season for season, 38 games, and he finished 18 points ahead of us. But apparently we had the better squad, and even with injuries.
What is it you want for Spurs, Brian?
I want Thomas Frank.
All right, guys, we'll get into this. Let me just finish the super chats. Marcus says, disgraceful the likes of Sava and Henry are relishing today's news. Yes, we all have a soft spot for Ange, but Spurs fans are mostly upset because it's another reset. I don't know. I haven't seen their stream. Dude says, if the next manager cannot secure a European spot and have a great cup run, everyone who voted for Ange sacking needs to resign.
Resign from what, life? Or...
Life, yeah.
Resign.
The thing is, that is what's going to happen. Like we're not going to have a.
to the Spurs
we're going to have a Champions League run with Thomas Frank. Like seriously.
By the way, Daddy, Thomas Frank does actually have a very key part in Brentford's recruitment. Very key.
Well, we also need the.
That's going to end at Spurs. That's going to end.
100%. Daniel Levy.
Wibbers01 says, circling back to my previous super chat, which is worse, Wizz or Ryanair? Brian and Tottenham on tour. Worst airline you've flown with? Regarding Ange losing this job, definitional Spursy. We won a trophy. Keep him.
I think this was back to the analogy we were talking about with the airline and the airports.
Right. Well, Wizz Air's definitely been my worst experience. That's for sure.
Well, for me, it was coming back from Ben's wedding. It was all Ben's fault. When people will know that my I've never actually had Bear Flight or Bear Airline, but
I thought I was doing something nice inviting you to my wedding, Brian.
Mate, it was wonderful coming to your wedding. It was just a shame I had to come back home. But then Air Canada and Toronto Pearson, I think it happened all over Canada. Luggage went missing, and then my luggage went missing. Yeah, Drain Bagel when I got called a traveller, and they spelled my name wrong, and I went back to get my luggage the next day, and I was in such a bad mood. And they're like, "Do you want to come on TV and rant about it?" And I went full on Levy out on Air Canada on Canadian TV. So it was wonderful.
You're going to lead a protest there for the guys of Air Canada.
Once Levy out is gone and done, I don't know what I'm going to protest for, but I'm going to start something.
425 says, I agree with student Stel. Why does Professor Levy keep giving us new projects? Stel? I don't know if you have an answer for that, but
I'm just happy he called me a student.
The student of the game.
I feel young. Thank you.
Student Stel.
1 second before you go on, I think Sai needs to go, or he's going in a few minutes.
Yeah,
so-
I've well overstayed my welcome here.
Not you're welcome.
No,
No,
you
don't say
definitely
that. You
not
haven't overstayed your
You haven't
welcome.
overstayed your welcome at all.
No, I was just being polite. I actually needed to go like 2 hours ago. But yeah,
Being
obviously,
polite by implying that we want you out.
Why
Sai
are
out.
you blaming us for you needing to leave?
Sai out. No,
Levy
obviously,
outside in.
great to be with you guys again. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Brian. I haven't spoken to you for a
Big
while,
up,
so
brother.
we'll all catch up
Cheers,
soon.
bye.
We'll have a party. I'm sure I'll be on the show very soon, but either way, I'll see you in like 12, 18 months when this all goes to shit again.
Another night
So,
stream.
So true, though. So true.
We'll
I love
schedule
you,
it now, I
Levy.
think, Ben. Same time in the year.
See you
Big up,
outside.
love.
I love you
Yeah.
and Levy.
Cheers, bye.
See you later, Si, bro.
Big up to the channel. Much love. And
Big up.
Jin.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Brilliant.
Jason G says, my issue is
Love
not the
him.
new manager or even Ange, it's the new project that I can't be asked with under the current owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has an appetite for a brand new project. That's the main
No.
thing as well. I completely
No
agree
more
about that.
projects.
Our favorite commenter, we jock poopong flop. Sorry, it always makes me laugh reading that. Truth is that Spurs have a bang average squad at the moment. Yeah,
Yep.
and yes, fair, I think, at the moment. Hamish O'Meara, big up with the super chat. No comment. Tony Fernambado says the stadium is packed out for Beyonce concerts, the equivalent to 6 home games of income. Where does that money go? It doesn't go to the team or the local area.
Levy land.
Levy gets a nice little bonus every year, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But isn't it with Tottenham? There's 2 different businesses, isn't it? It's this club and the stadium. The stadium's a separate entity, isn't it?
Yeah, but
The
they
last-
said everything that those events make will go back into the club, didn't they? That's what they said.
Well,
On the last set of accounts, the income from stadium revenue events, not football, almost matched the football. So it's almost on a par.
but on the what that was on the accounts, what they were there
Yeah.
to show.
Yeah,
But what
yeah.
was that on the Tottenham accounts, or was it it's not 2 separate accounts?
Tottenham accounts. It's you got
It's subsidiary, isn't it?
revenue. You got revenue from TV and media, so it's basically the Sky Sports deals. Then you got revenue from match day revenue, so like tickets, merch, and that. Then there's another one, and there was another revenue stream, and incorporated into that one was the stadium revenue. But it's a little bit confusing because you don't know what percentage of it is. So if you assume it's just all the concerts in NFL, it's almost on a par.
And this
But
summer, it's chock-a-block. The calendar's full of concerts this summer. It's mad. I didn't realize there was so many going on this summer. There's like 8 or 9 concerts. Yeah, literally, it's crazy. Tony with another one saying Ange got sacked because he made the season all about himself. He sacrificed the whole season to win a cup and to save face. It's the season ticket holders who should be glad Ange is gone.
What do you mean save face? He won a bloody European trophy. Gave us the best moment in our entire Tottenham supporting
I'll
life.
never forget that.
Literally, a
You know,
moment
in 30
Just
years'
for him.
time,
It was just for him.
in 30 years' time, I'm gonna remember. I'm not even gonna remember the performance. I'm gonna remember. I'm not gonna remember. I'm gonna remember like we finished 17th, but I'm gonna remember that parade, and I'm gonna remember being in that stadium when the final whistle went, and it was just surreal. That's what I'm gonna
These are
remember.
the moments that you're going to tell your kids.
That's why I'm a football fan. I'm not a football fan
About.
to be like, oh, we finished second in the league in a 3-horse race or third in a 2-horse race. Like, come on, man, really?
You see this comment, right? There's 2 things on this. One, if you weren't a season ticket holder, you didn't get access to the cup final tickets in Bilbao. You went to the season ticket holders first. They're the ones who got the tickets. And secondly, you don't have to go to the games. You can put them up on the exchange. I stopped going to games, so I got my money back. Some people chose to keep going and paying to go to those games as well. So it's a bit of a grey area, I think.
Christian A says, big up, new conspiracy, Cullen, Collicott, Munn and Ange out, Levy blamed, new board takes control, Levy exits, everyone's happy, epic.
Apparently this was put forward by Lee McQueen on Last Word on Spurs tonight.
And what did he say?
I didn't hear what he said, but did you hear, Brian, what he said?
So basically, he has been Lee McQueen has been very vocal at the moment about things going on. And when Last Word on Spurs were on earlier, he was saying that from May that he's known since, and this is his words. I'm not trying to. I forgive if I get a couple of bits wrong. He said, May the 10th, he was told there's going to be wholesale changes, and this is blah blah blah. He made a very very bold statement saying Cullen was pushed, not. Even though there were rumours that it was going to happen, but there's been rumours that she was going to step down. Whether it was she was pushed, she was whatever you want to say.
No way.
Then he said it was going to be Munn. He's going or gone, and then he did drop a bombshell, and he said the next domino to fall, and it will happen sooner rather than later, will be Daniel Levy. Now, whether that means they just put
for another parade, people.
Oh, mate, do you know what? Honestly, I've started to seriously think, what am I going to do when I wake up and actually see the banner that says Daniel Levy steps down from Tottenham?
Oh my God! Do you know what, Brian? That will be the most euphoric moment, even more euphoric than Spurs winning the trophy. That'll be the most euphoric moment in 25 years of this club. At this club, it will be.
Can I say though, if Levy steps down though, it won't be because he's forced. He owns 30% of the company. It will be because he decides to, or Joe Lewis.
No,
Joe Lewis
I don't
forces
think
him.
So. Yeah, I think. Yeah, but that means he's forced. That means
there's a major power struggle.
Joe Lewis and Levy, they have joint property companies together. So I don't
care.
We don't care. No, what I'm saying is they're tight. They're not. Lewis isn't going to.
Still, what I've heard is that his daughter Vivian absolutely hates him, and she's the one that's apparently running the show now.
Princess Vivian.
Well, look, we'll find out, right? We'll see what happens.
Rick Kane says,
"Oh, wake
up tomorrow. Wake up tomorrow. Daniel Levy steps down.
Don't
even.
I'll do a 24-hour charity stream.
Yes,
mate,
I agree.
Be the best.
Dedicate all the money.
I've said I think I'm going to do a Forrest Gump and just say to Ilana, I felt like running and go end up in Vancouver. Just end up.
How long will it take you to run to walk to London, Brian? You got to do it if Levy.
To walk to London.
To walk.
Brian will take a year.
Yeah, walk all the way.
I'll tell you what. I'll leave right now. I'll let you know when I'm in England.
Just get in a boat. Just get on a boat, Brian. You'll be in a few weeks.
By the time Daigle walks here, Frank would have been sacked already.
Mate, I'll cook kebabs for everybody in my street.
Whoever the new owner is, I'm going to start protesting against them. Just start. I'm going to go. Yeah, we got to leave me out, but fuck this guy. I don't want him. He's going to be useless. I don't like him. And I've just realised during this stream. Obviously, there's been extreme supporters of Jose, but if it is Thomas Frank, I've just realised I'm that guy, aren't I?
Yeah.
You're like I'm the sim for Ange.
Brian, can I just ask you a question? What would happen if there's like a whole Nuno thing with Thomas Frank? Like within like a couple of 10 games, he's sacked because he's so bad.
Then first of all, I will be over to say hi, Daniel. I will see you. You will see me. But then if Frank has gone, then listen, I'll put my hands up and say, do you know what? I'm just going on what I've seen on him. Well, then I want to say, why was if Frank comes in and does a blinding job?
Do you think though? I'm not saying he's good. I think he'll do better in the league, right? And I think he'll play a better style of football. Yeah, I think.
I think a lot of people are in serious trouble.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think he's going to be good enough for what the Spurs fans actually want or what they think they want.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Daddy.
Yeah,
this is
Nobody
what
is good enough for what the actual Spurs. We won a trophy and it's still not good enough.
I know it's true, Ben. Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right. You're absolutely
Danny,
right.
that's the thing. What if you
So what happens, right? If Frank comes in and we finish 7th and there's nothing else, that's it. We get to the quarterfinals of the League Cup. We get knocked out in the first round of the FA Cup, and in Champions League we don't progress, right? What happens then? Is that a good season for Thomas Frank?
Well, it's not, but for a first season, what were people expecting for him to break into the top 4 quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup?
You say that, Brian. You said it, but Ben just said it himself. We just won a trophy and it's still not good enough.
Just,
He's gone. He's gone in 2 years, mate. He's gone.
Hey, listen. It's all like I said. I will champion Frank. I am in love. I love Frank. I think he'll do a great job. But like I said, right now, as I said it for many a time, it doesn't matter who's in the dugout. It all comes back to one man. He'll be screwed. My entire focus. Listen, I kind of deviated the track and went a little bit Ange out, Levy out, and didn't just have my Ange out. This is a beautiful highway. Stay there. Well, I am locked in on this M25 Levy out, and I'll keep going round and round in circles. I even said on Sunday, if anyone doesn't like my Levy out tweets or my Levy out rants, mute me or block me because it's going to get very hectic on my timeline, and I will not stop.
Don't worry, Bagel, you won't have to tweet them for much longer.
Mate, do you know what? I really, that day.
You know one thing I said on my show earlier, right?
We'll still be tweeting after it's gone.
That day, look at the smile on my face, just thinking about it.
Brian, do you know one thing I said earlier on my channel, right? And I'd be so interested to see if this happens. A lot of the some of the anger thrown at Ange after the Europa Cup win is they don't want him. His talent ID's crap and whatnot. And he wants Matthias Tell, and Matthias Tell's rubbish, and this and that. I agree. I don't want Matthias Tell, but okay, look, everyone has their opinion. Right. If we sign Tell now, okay, I'm going to contact every YouTuber and every account that said and wants players like Tell's rubbish. I want to know where they stand with the new manager if he signs Tell, because that was a big no-no. Let's see.
They'll probably say he wanted him.
Stelios, I'll tell you this right now. We've been negotiating with Bayern Munich for the last week and a half for Matthias Tell, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is no chance in hell that Daniel Levy didn't know that he was sacking Ange for the last week and a half. That tells you everything you need to know. Matthias Tell is a club signing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Then I am going to use that as a stick to beat the people that demanded Ange not be given a chance, because that was one of their no-go zones, no to Tell. So if Tell comes in, then that goes against what they were standing for. So let's see if we sign him or not, because honestly, it can't be both ways. You can't have it both ways.
I remember we were going to sign Walker Peters, but that's because of the homegrown and home.
Are we actually signing Walker Peters?
Well, we're going to have to. We're going to have
now.
I don't do that to me.
He's
rubbish,
mate, that's
so rubbish.
Yes, but it's kind of. But remember, because of the way our recruitment is done and everything is brilliant, because everything is rosy at Tottenham, and it's always the manager's fault. We need homegrown players, and what's the other? What is it? Not just homegrown. Club coached, club trained. That's the word. So it's him. So
Danny Rose hasn't retired yet. Why don't we just get him?
Yeah, we might as well. No, let's get Kyle Walker back. We'll bring him back from AC Milan. We might as well.
All right, Rick. We'll carry on these super chats. Rick,
I don't know actually.
Rick Kane says Mike Bassett is what we deserve.
4-4-2.
You do a good job, Mike Bassett. David Lee says Frank got 7 years at Brentford. He's not getting that at Tottenham. Frank is a mid-table manager. Give Ange 7 years. I bet my life we win more and develop more players.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Good point.
Bengal Tiger NYC says Levy had a case of wanker cramps, the deadliest of the British.
You know what? I love these late night. I love these late night WeAreTottenham TV.
Oh my god! You know what? It looks like all the Spurs players are laughing for that comment as well.
Oh my god! Wanker's cramps.
That's brilliant.
Wanker's cramps.
What is that?
Oh, that's amazing.
Brilliant.
Big up, Moose.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
Big
Moose
up.
Big
Big
up
up,
to you.
Moose.
Unbelievable. Super Chat says, hello, gents. I'm trying to be positive with the sacking. I really do hope we see Frank come in. The more I look into him and how he operates, the more I like him. I think he can really get the best out of these young players. He has got the track history.
Yeah, Moose.
Big up to you, Moose. Thank you very much. Very generous.
Big up, Moose.
He has the track history. He does, but he has it with Brentford in a lower level. That's the only thing. It's just that's the worry I've got. It's just a different.
Same for me, Tim. Is that I keep saying it, right? It's a different. The thing is, like, he's never. It's a different type of pressure coming to Spurs and managing because the expectation is higher. The fans demand more. We paid one of the highest season ticket prices in all of Europe, right? So if you're not doing well in something, right? Yes, you might. Okay, you might have a better coaching system, but what happens if you win 2 games and draw 2 games, and then you lose 1 game, then you win 2 games, like that kind of thing? Like
there's
it's
no
a bit
pressure
better
on
than
him at Brentford. Only to stay up.
100%, 100%, and that's the difference. That's the difference.
That's all. And like even you could argue Nuno had a better track record than him before he came. Nuno took Wolves from the Championship to Europe. Didn't he?
True.
Oh, guys, can I just bring up a comment quickly? Big up to KPV. He's just dropped the fucking gem.
Go on. Oh, Jesus. Go on.
Danny, don't you ever disrespect my twin brother, Carl Walker Peters.
Ben Sim, you need to keep doing these late night streams. They are just winners. They are just...
Danny, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Oh, Kyle Peakers, what a shocking player.
My twin brother.
Yeah.
KVP, mate. KVP.
Big up KPV.
FaxDB says, gutted lads. Ange gave us a trophy. He was changing the culture and had the dressing room. Shame on the fans and media who hounded him out. # Levy out. Do the fans hold any responsibility for how much they were? I mean, I'm guessing I'm talking to everyone who was Ange out here, but you were Ange out. Mate, do you think the fact you were so hard on Ange out before the final had any kind of contribution to?
No, do you know why, Sim?
Like they had to sack him regardless.
Levy, he does what he wants. Daniel Levy, he does what he wants.
Sim, I gave him my total commitment and support to start next season, and my entire channel has turned against me. There is no one in my channel when I go live now that actually supports the channel anymore.
Well, what about Iggy? He's usually a voice of reason.
Oh, look, Iggy actually said there's better managers out there than Ange, and if we can get a better manager, we should bring one in. But if we can't, there's no point getting rid of Ange.
I'm talking about before the final. The fact that there was such a clamour, like saying, regardless of the result, you got to sack him. Doesn't matter. There was a big clamour before the final to sack him regardless.
Fan pressure this time, Sim, because if he bowed to fan pressure, he would have kept Ange because there was.
He would have got him. He would have got in January.
Apparently, Paratici was saying get rid of him in January, wasn't he, or December?
Look at your chat. Stel is a traitor.
You turning Levy out. That's the only thing worse. Levy in, sorry.
So I had a comment.
I would never be Levy in. That's one thing. That you know, everyone's got like a non-negotiable. That is my non-negotiable.
Yep.
Brian would be Levy in.
I will never, ever say that.
Estelle, there's no hypothetical I could box you in to say if this happens, you'd be Levy.
Wait, Steve, if you're going to do this, you're going to say you got 2 buttons.
2 buttons.
You got 2.
If we win the Champions League, you got to be Levy in.
The only way I'm leaving in is if we win the treble.
5 years in a row.
The treble. We win the treble, I'm leaving in one season.
Gonna clip it.
I would honestly, I'd rather become a Gooner than be Levy in.
I
would rather be a Gooner than be Levy in.
Champions League 5 years in a row. You're not coming Levy in.
So you're going to wish you never said that. You're going to wish you never said that.
No. Yeah, listen, Levy never lets me down. Levy never lets me down. That's like buying gold. You know you're going to win.
Sean Maddox
God.
says, if we were offered Frank in December, how many of you would have taken him over Ange? Fans would
Brian
not
would
be
have.
happy, whoever the next
Sorry?
manager is.
Brian would have definitely taken Frank.
Would you
No,
have taken him?
not in December. I wouldn't have. Not in December. You
wouldn't
got to remember. No. People got to remember. Ben and Sim, when I only became Levy out. I only became Levy out 17 years ago, mate. In October, the Levy out me is legally allowed to drink. I'm 18 years Levy out in October, but I only became Ange out January the 16th after the North London derby, and it was the first time I ever turned down a manager ever. So if you said after January, would I have taken him? Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I would have until the final. Without a doubt, I'll be true to myself. But in December, no, I wouldn't have. I was still well and truly on the Ange train.
Brian's been Ange out and till Martin Yole got sacked at half time.
Terry O'Shea says McQueen was adamant it's definitely happening this summer. Levy will be stood down and Charrington will take over as chairman. Hotel project also will be scrapped.
I
The
heard that as
hotel
well.
can't be scrapped. They've laid the foundations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
surely not. They're
yeah.
building the bloody thing. Yeah, how can we-
It can't be scrapped.
Well, we'll see. And Moose City
Don't
again,
worry.
unbelievable. Oh my god!
Even if it goes through, right, and Daniel Levy stepped down, he's still going to have his hand in the pie some way or form.
As long as he has nothing to do with the football inside of Tottenham Hotspur, he can keep his properties and do as long as he ain't in the football pitch, got anything to do with football, that's part one. Then part two is get him the fuck away from everything else. And then I wish him all the best in his future endeavours. Build what you want, destroy what you want, do what you want. But until then, if we have an announcement come out next week or the next couple of weeks, Daniel Levy has left Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but will stay on the property. Fine by me, or not fine by me. But if you're away from the football, job done.
I think Levy should be the next manager.
Might as well. He's making all the decisions anyway. And
The only manager that won't get sacked.
Yeah.
Big up again to Moose City. Unbelievable support. He says, I think Frank is going to come in and surprise a lot of people. What he has done at Brentford is great. Very little investment, selling his best players, develops new players well, and he's a great tactical manager. He's done well against the top six.
I'm loving Big Moose instead.
Do you know what? Every time a new manager comes to Spurs, right, there's this pitch of how they're going to be different, how they're going to do this. Look what they did here and there.
Yeah,
and
exactly. I agree with you, Stel. It's hard to buy into another one. I know you mean.
I hear it all the time.
Like every time, it's like, this is why this manager's good. This is why. I remember when Nuno came,
also
like,
Sim.
this is why Nuno is going to be so good.
It's with the players. It's like any player Spurs is linked with. Oh yeah, no, this guy, I've seen him play. He's going to be the best next thing. He's going to be the next Messi, the next.
You know what I've realised?
Every single player we're linked with.
You know, I've realised all these things like tacticos on Twitter and when they do these breakdowns of players and all these things. Yeah, what I've come to realise is like, obviously these players are good. They're professional footballers in the Premier League, so you can pick any player in the Premier League and do a massive breakdown why they're good. But you can do that to anyone because they're all good because they're Premier League players. No one's gotten to the Premier League by being bad. You know what I mean? So like all this stuff is just like I've seen so much of it. It's all just air now. I can't rely on any of it.
Sim's come to my world. Sim's come to my world.
Can you do it on Jensen Fernandez?
You can do it on Jensen Fernandez. Yeah, 100%. I remember Jensen Fernandez's breakdowns.
Sim, do you know what it is, right? When you're a Premier League player, the difference between Championship and Premier League is you can do things at a faster speed, whether it's taking on a player, making a decision, passing a ball with accuracy. What makes you a brilliant footballer is when you can play in multiple positions using both sides of the body, and you can adapt to systems and still function. Like Kane, under every manager, every system, every formation, the guy does the job. Whereas you've got some players that are specific system players and they're limited.
Yeah.
They've got to play a certain way in a certain role and they do a good job at that. But once you tweak it, they fall apart. But you're right. To play the Premier League and to stay in the Premier League as a player, you have got qualities that are way above average footballers. That's just a fact. Even if we think someone like Timo's crap, he's crap at this level.
Mhm.
Take him down a notch, he'll stand out. But at this level is where he doesn't quite shine. So
He stood
I
out
agree.
of Tamworth, he stood out of Tamworth, didn't he? He really stood out there. But going back again, I'm gonna join Big Moose and go back on the or Moose City, go back on the go on the Frank train. So many people said, "I want to see the fullbacks play fullbacks." We got the best thing for a back five. Lo and behold, what does Thomas Frank do more often than not? Play with a back five.
No, he plays with a back four.
He plays with a back five. If you go and watch the videos that I've sent you, Ben, he even talks about when he reverts to a back five.
In the big games. In the big games.
Which are the ones that Ange couldn't win.
Right.
And when we say, oh, he needs to play the back five, we don't want to see the wingers invert, we want to see those. We said, haven't we said, those Doggy and Horo are wing backs. They're not full backs. They're not inverted. Again, he'll play them. It's if they're here.
Oh, bloody hell. Big up, Moose City.
Jesus.
Moose, man. So generous of you, man. Thank you so much.
Unbelievable, Moose. He says, I wish Ange had gotten at least 10 games, but I can't deny the team had been dreadful to watch. The performances have been awful. Frank's got players like Wilson and Bremo scoring 18 and 20 goals. I just think, what can he do with some of our talent?
Well, not with Odebear and bloody Brennan Johnson and Solanke up front.
He wanted Brennan Johnson at Brentford.
Yeah, God, he wanted a lot of our players.
Mate, Brennan Johnson's going to turn into Mbuemo and Odebear's going to be Whistler.
No chance.
Odebert's got potential.
Yeah,
Danny, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that
Odebert-
Brentford have got brilliant recruitment, and then
potential.
the ones that we have that he wanted, you can't just say he won't do well with
Yeah,
them.
and Buemo, even in his first season before he became the player he's become, he looked good. I loved the way he played. He's aggressive. He's powerful. He's good on both feet. He can cross a ball. His acceleration is brilliant. But the thing is, you saw that those abilities in him already, even though it was as raw when he first started. What have you got? Can you imagine Brennan Johnson being a player like Mbuemo, powerful, beat a man? No chance. You've got to also have the. You
Would
also
you
have
not
to have
think
the traits.
he'll play Brennan in a different role? Like I liken him more to maybe a Wissa, how he used Wissa.
Maybe, but is Brennan Johnson as good as a Wissa?
I mean, he's been as clinical.
Which is more skillful, I think. A lot more
Yeah.
yeah,
skillful.
that definitely.
Yeah.
But like Ben said, he's our top goal scorer.
Okay, so who do you think's got a better front three then? Brentford or to Spurs?
Brentford.
Brentford.
I'll take the Brentford front three all the time.
Yeah. So now
Our
you're
front
talking
three is
about-
poor. Our front three
Yeah.
is very poor.
So as much as he might be a good coach, right? Is he really going to improve the level of what we've got up front? Maybe a little bit, but not a lot because they're not good enough.
Well, he's going to inherit a better back five than what he's got at Brentford. Our back five's decent.
Yeah,
We've got a decent back five.
Okay, what about the
Also,
midfield?
like people play Brentford very different to how they're going to play us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's also something he's going to have to deal with.
Again,
the
to compete in the Champions League and the Premier League, we're going to need a front three, like a good front three.
The line
Yeah, we
sounds
are.
his second attempt. So I think his message didn't go through last time. It says, one of those times the right decision feels wrong. I was worried about next year under Ange. He's a man of vision, integrity, inspirational, but I think we would have gotten burnt. Maybe.
We'll never know. Never
We'll
know.
never know now. We'll never know.
I think what you got to look at as well on the good side of what Spurs done. There's no doubt it would have been easier to sort out this manager situation now, like we are, and have the summer or get the manager in before pre-season, rather than as much as we wanted Ange to start the season and see if he had anything. If it had gone Pete Tong, getting rid of him and then getting a manager in with other clubs not really wanting to lose their managers and whatever games in, that could have been another problem.
Is it harder to replace Ange after 10 games, or if Frank gets sacked? Is that going to be even harder to replace him if it's not working?
We ain't got Ryan Mason
You're
now.
so negative, Sim.
I'm just saying, it's true though, no?
Is Daniel Levy finally going to become owner manager if that happens?
If he does, I will come back to London. Ben and Sim, I'll take one of your tickets because I won't step foot in there. If Daniel Levy was in the manager's hot seat, I'm going on the pitch.
Oh my god!
I'm going on the pitch and I'm making a beeline to have it out with him.
Do you think Ryan Mason's got a clause if they sack the manager, we can activate him, bring him back as caretaker?
It's on interim. He can be a West Brom and Tottenham manager for a bit.
he's like lifetime interim Spurs manager.
We sacked him to bring him back so he can win in his second season.
Danny, when we were kids, right? So going back to Brian Daigle and my era, in the 80s, there's something called player manager. Where
I know.
Trevor Francis.
Yeah.
So, well, who would it be? Sonny player manager.
But that's a good thing. I mean, that's the other thing.
I think they're going to sell on this summer.
Whoever it may be,
I don't know if he has a stomach for another rebuild.
But Sim, you look at it. If let's just say the current crop.
He's gone.
Let's just say the current crop stay. Frank or whoever it is comes in and takes control. Let's just pretend that all these players are here. Does whoever the manager may be still keep Sonny as captain?
If Sonny says, yeah, I think so.
You reckon? Or does he say, my kind of captain is a different approach? I want a Romero or a...
I don't think that Sonny's got the respect of the dressing room. I don't think he takes him away from the captaincy.
That could be the way the manager comes in and stamps his authority.
It's got balls if he does it. I'd like to see it. I don't think Frank will do that.
Frank doesn't think the character is going to take.
Can I guys? Let's say Thomas Frank's the next manager. What do you think he's going to be asked to do? Like, what's the club going to want from him?
Play attractive football,
European football.
Yeah.
No, just play attractive football. Get the fans happy. That's it.
No,
he's not that kind of a manager.
Making the fans happy. He cares about getting European football. That's what he cares about.
Well, so Spurs fans should be happy if we're playing like Conte ball every game, like just counter-attacking on the back foot because we don't have the attackers to play that.
No, they'll kick off. Spurs fans will kick off.
They'll kick off. And is Frank the type of manager to play expansive football? Not gung-ho football like Ange, but does he play expansive football? It's not his style.
Go watch the videos on this season.
He can play high-pressing football.
Yeah, but are the Spurs fans going to get restless?
He adapts to what he has, Frank. That's another kind of thing I've got with Frank. It's like I kind of feel like because Brentford, a lot of the games obviously they're the underdogs. A lot of the times he does go obviously pragmatic. That's like the majority of his games. I feel he's like more counter-attacking, kind of low, a bit lower block. But that's understandable. But I kind of feel like if he comes to Tottenham, he's going to have to. We're kind of hiring him off the basis that he's going to play differently, I feel. Yeah. And it's a weird way to go about it.
My question is, right, do you think Spurs fans are going to be happy, Sim, or all of you, if he goes and he's playing that same style of football, it's a bit more pragmatic than it is attacking football?
That's what people ask for Ange. They asked Ange.
You say that, Sim, right? But look what happened under Conte. We were fourth in the table playing pragmatic football, and yet fans were getting so agitated and pissed off with him, and they gets a sack, right? Mm-hmm. We were fourth when he left, and we were like, and that was pragmatic football. So I don't agree with that. That the notion is that Spurs fans are not going to be happy if we're not playing attacking football and winning games.
Yeah, but Danny, haven't Brentford been like one of the most exciting teams to watch this season?
Correct.
I don't think they've been exciting because they're just so open.
They have been.
No, I don't think it's exciting. I don't think it's exciting because they play risky football or anything like that. They're exciting because they very good at like exploiting on the counter, very good at transitions and stuff. And also because they actually don't have a great quality at the back, they can be got at that essentially. But it's not like I never watched Brentford think I wish Spurs played like that, and that's my opinion. No. But I think that's again, if he has Tottenham, if he has better players, maybe he'll be better to watch. I don't know.
I don't think Frank has like a certain like step philosophy. Like he's not a slave to a philosophy.
He's not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not a manager that plays a set way every single game. So you don't know what he's going to do at Tottenham. I think it's going to be a mix of match of everything.
That's a bit of an issue, isn't it? That we don't know what he's going to do.
Right. Are you ready for this? Right. Are you ready for this? I've just looked at the league table from last season. So Brentford have got a top 6 goal scoring record. So they're the 6th highest goal scorers. And they are 6th from bottom for conceding goals.
Yeah.
Remind you of anything?
Who's in their defence still?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, of course. But I'm just saying. Oh, but hold on. It's about tactics, isn't it? It's about formation? That's the argument.
Do you know what?
That's the debate.
Who's been in our
It is.
defense for bloody half the season? You know what I mean? Bengal Tiger NYC says, where does Ange go after this? I mentioned Bundesliga in the chat to you guys in an earlier stream because of tactic synergy. But what are your thoughts? I think he can get a decent job off the back of this, winning it, going out on a high. I can see him getting a decent
get
job.
another Premier League job.
Yes.
Not right now, because I don't know about there's I do think in the future,
so.
yeah. I don't know about right now, but in the future,
I'll tell you where he could end up, because they'd love his style of football. If Leeds pull the trigger on Farke, they love it like a Bielsa. I could see him very easily at Leeds. Very, very, very easily.
Do you not think his sights would be set a bit higher than that, though, after winning Europa League?
But Leeds is a massive club, isn't it? Forget their yo-yo. They are a massive football club.
You know, it'd be funny if he goes to Brentford.
Yeah,
Okay.
swap. And does better than us. And does better than us.
And beats us in the cup final.
No, that's gonna be right. That's gonna be Ryan Mason's West Brom.
I'd love to hear what some of
It's
the
who we are,
Spurs
mate.
fans' reactions would be like.
I think Ange will go overseas, guys. I think he'll end up overseas.
Yeah,
I think
so as well.
Bundesliga or Spain, or maybe even I think it's Italian football. To be fair,
Mate, there's some big Greek clubs that want him, you know.
Apparently, AEK Athens.
Yeah, they're the second most
Champions
successful
League
club
team?
in Greece.
Still, he said he wanted to go back to Greece, didn't he, at some point and manage, because of growing up with his dad. I think he actually said he did want to. I think that's the final destination for him. Whether he sees that as now.
How old is Ange?
What about Leipzig? Did they appoint a new coach yet, Leipzig?
I
think
think
he's
they
in his
did.
mid-50s, late
this week,
50s, isn't he?
Oh, so he's still got some years to manage, depending on how much more he wants to manage.
Right, guys, on that note, I need to go spend some time with my wife. She's just got home. So I'm going to love you and leave you all.
I need to go too, guys. I've got work tomorrow morning, volunteering.
All right. Well, we'll just get go. But I didn't realize there was so many.
See you
more
later,
super chats.
Brian.
Oh, if you're doing the super chats, I'll quickly stay with the super chats, and then I'll piss off after the super chats.
I'm going to go, guys. Good night. Have a good one.
No,
Speak to you soon.
See you later.
Look after
Thanks for
yourselves.
coming on, mate.
Realize it's over 3 a.m. now, but big up to everyone sending in the super chats. Unbelievable support tonight. Jerome says only Spurs can win a Europa trophy, go back to square one, searching for a manager while other teams are strengthening. Absolutely pathetic to even be talking about a guy who lost 33 games in 2 seasons. Wait, what's his point?
Did he lose more games than that?
Is he pro or anti Ange? I can't figure out. One of you Spurs can win a Europa trophy going back to square one, searching for a new manager, while other teams are strengthening. I can't figure out if he's like Ange or not.
It started Ange in it, ended Ange out.
Yeah, I think
that's the quickest flip flop.
he moved Ange out as he was writing it.
I'm a flip flop in a super chat. That's a record.
Quickest flip.
Wait, it's 33 games in 2 seasons. What Frank lost?
Yeah, similar. Yeah. Oh,
So
sorry, you're
like that.
right. You're right. Okay, Danny's got it. Yeah, he's talking about why.
Danny cracked the code.
Okay, he's thinking
Yeah,
why.
I was just thinking,
This
because
is what
Ange
happens
lost
when it
more
gets
than that,
over
didn't he?
3 a.m., I think. This is what happens when it gets past
Exactly.
3 a.m. Michael Hellman says an emotional roller
someone's
coaster.
putting it
I've
as
been
well.
flip-flopping over a decision. The club can move our opinions along by announcing the new manager as soon as possible to mitigate all this mental gymnastics. Let fans be fans. Come on, you Spurs. There's one thing for sure. This season's been one hell of an emotional roller coaster. That's for sure. Absolutely. That's the best way to describe it.
It's been a season of flip flops. I've never seen so many flip flops in one season. Me being one of them, Danny being another, Brian being
everyone,
another,
most of the fan base flip flopped. It's been
and
crazy.
Tim being a few days.
Tim for 1 week. For 1 week. And I was there. I was in the studio when it happened. I was one of the lucky ones.
Oh, I should never have given in. Jerome says, Stell, time to find where Levy lies and hound that fraud to leave our club. Enough is enough. We don't advocate for doxing or violence, but I don't know where he lives. If you do, don't whatever you do, don't go and see him, and don't make his life hell. Tom81 says, if Frank's name was Tommaso El Franco, everyone would be loving it. Big up, guys. Loving the show. Proper panel. Up the Spurs. Hashtag Levy out. What for life?
That's basically, there's a NWO in wrestling called New World Order, but Ben Kaufman and Tom has changed it to the DOO WO for the Daigle World Order. So that's what that is.
Yeah, you're right. If it was Thomas Franquinho, I'll be all over it. It's so true. Moose City again. Unbelievable.
Big up, Moose City.
He says Frank has on multiple occasions played different positions and tactics. He adjusted to his opposition. They played direct football. Everyone was critical of Ange because he couldn't change tactics.
I've got a feeling that me and Moose City are going to get on famously this season. Famously, it's going to be like, Sim, who's that guy that keeps absolutely loving you at the moment?
Crazy rat.
Mate, we need to find out who that is. That
yeah,
mate.
I keep telling him to come on. I want to meet him.
Mate.
Here they are.
Mate. But yeah, me and Moose City are going to be the best of friends.
And D Ricky 13 says Sim can go F himself. And liquor. I say get Marcelo Gallardo. He used to play playing teams that have money but don't spend like the best teams. He's a pioneer of modern tactics. Levy, middle finger. So me and Levy can F off Angela.
Liquor is Sim.
I'm sure you didn't enjoy Bill Bow, Ricky. I'm sure you didn't enjoy lifting that trophy. Who's licking you? You weren't licking you were licking Ange back then when you were lifting the trophy. You weren't thinking I'm loving Big Ange instead. Come on.
There's another super chat, isn't there?
Another one. Oh wow. Yeah. Nigel Gates says won a trophy and qualified for Champions League in the same season. Who else fires a manager that does that?
Daniel Levy.
He sacks who he wants.
Well, I tell you, there was one. Didn't I think Chelsea sacked Sarri, didn't they? When you after you on Europa League.
Yeah. I mean, he sacked Matteo after the Champions League as well.
Di Matteo, yeah. Oh, bloody Levy, man.
All right,
so when are we before we go, when are we putting any bets on of when we're going to hear Daniel Levy's being stepped down as chairman of Tottenham Hotspur?
What's going to happen first? A new manager or Levy out?
Oh, that's
new
a good question.
New manager will be announced.
Levy out ain't going to be. Look, as much as I trust Lee McQueen, I'm sure it's also good. I just can't believe it until I see that kind of stuff.
I can't either.
Do you know how many times during this stream I've almost said I could feel a tattoo bet coming on here, but I'm stopping myself.
Right. What would you do?
We have to do something. We have to do some sort of bet if Levy goes.
What would you do if Levy goes, Brian?
You do have to do
something. What would you do if Levy goes?
Do you know what? I've been asked this so many times. And what I will say, I will tell you I've got a group of 15 friends that from the day we moved into the new stadium, they're staunch Levy out. Staunch Levy out. 15 of them have put £25 each in every month on the first of the month since we've moved into the new stadium. And they've said, we're going to keep doing this until Levy goes. And then when Levy goes, we're dropping everything and we're going on the biggest bender. They're at £27,000. They are currently, that's before interest. This bender.
Brian, can we get in on this? Can we get in?
Mate, I wish I had. I mean, obviously I could have drunk it. Mate, they're talking about coming over to Vegas. They're like, we are literally dropping work. We are off and we are not spending. We're not coming back till every single penny is gone. They're up to £27,000. So that's going to be what I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to get a tattoo to commemorate.
Brian, what about a naked stream?
No, Brian, no one needs to see that.
Brian, if it's Vivian Lewis that is the woman behind this all, you got to get Vivian tattooed on your.
Do you think my wife, whose name is Ilana, is going to let me put another woman's name straight across the? Yeah, that's going to work really well.
You have to propose to Vivian.
all hail Vivian. All hail Vivian Lewis.
Why not? Let's just.
Right. You should do it. All hail Vivian Lewis with the date that Daniel Levy steps down. So you'll always remember the date.
I'll the day that he goes or the day he leaves.
Put the date on you.
I will get something to commemorate it.
Yeah.
I mean, people still ask if. Look, I've made 2 bets. I've almost got to because I got obviously people always think that this was fake with what I did, but Ben was there and had it done. There's for Conte, and if people can see underneath it, there's 100k written there that I got added to it. Been speaking with Ben, they're close to 200k, so I will get 200k next to it. It's going to become like a family tree. My dedication to this channel, my one and only channel. Then I put a bet on with Brian Ireland from Tottenham on Tour when Conte came, and I said, we're not getting top 4. It's too late. And if we get top 4, I'll get Tottenham on Tour's logo tattooed. It's there. It's there. So I will get something. I don't know where, but I will get something. Well, the day he's gone and he's no longer, I'll get something.
Is Alana listening to this?
She's in the room just up there, but I don't know. Maybe I'll get Levy out. Is Levy gone? Or something like that. Levy gone, maybe I'll get, or something. Who knows? But I will get something. Where, I don't know, but I will get it.
So Ricky says, be ready for our 9th manager, Eric Ten Hag.
He's gone
You
to
got the bloody Leverkusen job. That's a brilliant job.
He'll do well there. Bet he'll do well there.
I think so too.
And Moose City again. Whoa. Says one last one. If Poch were to resign from the USA and join us, that would that be mad? Last chat, so you lot can get off.
It would. I mean, it would be amazing. I'll take Poch in a heartbeat back.
I think it would be a crazy turn of events, but
Levy's going, Brian. He's gone. I mean, Danny.
No, put it this way.
Wish.
If I offered you, I know Danny's answer. So Ben and Sid, if I offered you, Pochettino comes in right now and Levy's staying, but we don't know what happens, or a new owner comes in like Enoch and Levy are done, new owners come in, and the first appointment they make is Mauricio Pochettino. Which one?
Take that.
Simeon, you got 2 buttons.
Sorry, I don't understand. Say again?
Would you rather have Pochettino come back right, if it was on the option, come back right here, right now and work under Levy and with everything here, or down the line the new owners come in and the first thing they do is, because I don't want Pochettino anywhere near this football club with Levy.
So what's the other? So we get new owners and what's the other option? Who's the
I'm saying, would you rather Pochettino came back for his second stint under Levy right now, but you don't know if Levy's staying or going and how that's going to go, or new owners come in and the first thing they do, regardless of what it is say, right, here you go, Spurs fans, Pochettino's back, we're backing him.
I'm so confused. Would I rather Poch with Levy or
Levy or Poch with new owners? Yeah, because I don't want Poch anywhere near here.
Why is that? I don't understand what the dilemma is.
Ben is saying he'd take him back now. I wouldn't take Pochettino back right now under Levy. Not
right, but you would take him back under
Brian,
100%.
I don't really understand that point. So why would you take Frank under Levy and not Poch under Levy?
Because Poch, I know what he can do. Poch will need investment, like when he said, "I want my players in early." Poch
so basically, with Frank, you're settling for like probably not going to achieve much, but just play better.
Frank is what I think the best we can get right now under Levy, because everyone knows what Levy will do. Under a new owner, when it's a clean slate, like when Manchester City came in, the first thing they went and did is slap down Robinho, go, right, this is us, and then everything went off. Pochettino, under new owners, new lease of life, welcome him back, the belief that he'll be back, the belief he'll be listened to. If they've made him the first choice, you're going to be our first guy, and we're going to show Spurs that we mean business. If he comes back under Levy, he'll be like, I want X, Y, and Z. We'll give you
Poch looks at the situation of PSG now and probably thinks, they didn't allow me to do this. They allowed Enrique to just clear the decks of all these like stars who aren't going to defend. You know what I mean? He had he had it on front three of Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi, but no one was ever really going to make that work because as a team, it was never going to really work. Like you've got 3 strikers up there who weren't going to move a jot when you're out of possession. And Enrique just came in like, you know what? Get rid of these guys. Give me some young attackers. I can make it work. I'm sure Poch would have loved that. And he probably never got the chance to do that because they probably signed Messi without his say-so and all that kind of stuff. And he was just basically, they were saying, what are you complaining about? You've got 3 of the best attackers in the world. Just deal with it. And Poch, I bet, would have loved to have the chance what to do what Enrique's done.
You know, can I just say one thing? Did in the club statement today, was Daniel Levy referenced in the statement?
No, he wasn't. It didn't say it was him.
Because I just saw it on someone's Twitter. You know, Steve Singh.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah, so he put interesting conversation with a friend of mine. Every single managerial sacking has been followed by a statement from Levy.
Mm-hmm.
Ange dismissed and not a single mention of Daniel, only the board. And he's put some screenshots up of the last 4 sackings. And in every one it says Daniel Levy, and it shows Daniel Levy, and it says we have like 10 Premier League games remaining, etc., etc.
Have we got a little Brentford-esque leak here?
Exactly. It's the Kelleher signing all over again.
Kelleher. Hello, we have to do our investigation work here.
But all I'm saying is that a little telling thing.
Mate, I think my tattoo's getting closer and closer.
All right, we've got the longer we stay on, the more super chats are coming in, and I'm knackered, but I have to keep reading them. Ren808 says, "Who do you lot imagine will come in realistically?" It's going to be.
Have you not been watching the whole stream?
Thomas, Frank.
Thinking players, but look, we don't have time for a transfer chat stream right now. All right, guys.
There's one more, Tim. There's one more.
There's one more.
You'll like this one.
One more.
You'll like this one.
Carl Higgins, we all love Sim. His beautiful soul. Onwards and upwards for the Spurs. Onwards and upwards for the Spurs. Big up to Carl Higgins. We love you, mate. Appreciate you, Carl Higgins. I think we saw him in the Brickies. I think he's the guy I gave I bought him an Uber because he lost his phone. That was very nice that night. I was in a good mood. But big up to Carl. My guy. All right. I think that's
thank you. I'll go Levy out. Thanks, Tim. Thank you.
Come on.
Levy out.
Oh, you know what I have to do? Sean Butler said I should actually get 6 packs.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
I think I might have to do that as well and just say job done.
No,
get tattoo on your finger. Levy
out.
Yeah, Levy out. Yeah.
Well, I'll do the knuckle ones. Levy gone, maybe. Levy. Yeah, there you go. Maybe I'll get Levy gone.
Or maybe on the side of your finger, maybe like that. Levy.
There we go. Maybe it'll be Levy gone. But yeah, I will just say, and as always, Levy out.
Levy out.
Big up, everyone. Big up the chat. Unbelievable support tonight, by the way. Incredible from the chat and everyone. Big up to everyone. That's been in your late night stream, emergency stream. It's now 3:20 in the morning. Maybe we'll have a manager by the time we wake up. We'll have to wait and see.
Maybe Levy be gone.
Maybe Levy be gone. Who knows? It's a crazy time at Tottenham. It's a crazy time. All right, guys. Appreciate you coming on the stream. Everyone. Good to see you. And all right, I'm ending it. It's ending. No more super chats. No more super chats. Unless there's one more. No. All right, no more.